Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the second day of EMEA Contenders Trials. Big Hungry Phil and Thibodeau bringing the action to you today. And coming up first, it's going to be All Yeah versus Old and Bored. So, Thibault, firstly, welcome to the broadcast. Good to be working with you again. What's on the cards for this first match? What can we expect to see?
I mean, this is your typical EU contenders level realness, as it were. Oh yeah, is the Clockwork Vendetta 5.0
Something
avoided
like
3.5, whatever the heck you want to call it. Oh yeah, is a team of just wild and crazy guys who are here to party. And Old and Bored actually is becoming, Old and Bored started initially as this team of literally old like gamers, not old like age, but they've been around for a very
well,
long time.
for
So yeah,
gamer levels.
some of them are esports old, but
Yeah,
I think if I said they were actually old, you might start to get that vein in your forehead that you get sometimes.
yeah.
And so this team started as like, we've been around for forever. Let's just run through trials for fun. And then that roster kind of dissolved, except for Kathy, who is still on the team. But this new iteration, this second version of it, has gone on to become a stable and very solid force at this level of play in EMEA. So they suddenly, instead of being this kind of like, we're a meme team, we just formed for this tournament and then we're going to go away. It's like, no, this is a pretty solid roster. And then they're going up against the Chaos team, the resident wacky one trick team full of wacky one tricks.
Gotta have one every season.
Yeah, there's always one, at least one. But they always give us a good time, so we let them stay, where it's like, you don't need to kick them out. They're a good laugh.
Yeah, and it's a group of players that you might recognize. These guys have been playing together in one form or another for what feels like a number of years now. I think it's maybe not quite years in everybody's instance here. Sorry, just bringing up the actual roster here. But, you're looking at players like Ball, I'm Special, and I have been informed it's I'm Special's birthday, so we'll forego the singing of happy birthday and wish you that anyway. Thank you.
You don't want to hear that from us, but happy birthday.
No. Yeah. We'll see if we can get chat just typing out in time. Good luck. But the core of this roster has been playing together for a while, right? One of the difficulties is that the roster previously used to work in a very, very fundamental way, which was you have Ball, world number one wrecking Ball. I think arguably there are Overwatch League players who certainly commented that they go and watch Ball to learn new tech. And you also had Yezen, arguably one of, if not the best Pharahs in the world, and like the pairing between the two of them and the combos they could pull off was a large part of the success that this roster has. Yezen's not back for Oya. Yezen, I believe, signed somewhere else recently. I forget exactly where.
Yeah.
But we do still have quite a strong lineup of DPS for Oya, certainly players with a lot of range to them.
Right, and the thing about a team like which again we've seen many iterations of, like O1 Esports and Avoided and Clockwork Vendetta, the OGs basically, is that their depth of strategy or compositional strategy, I should say, is not super deep. They tend to stick to one thing. They're just really, really good at it.
Yeah.
And we're about to kind of see how much or how far that could take them against Old and Bored, because we're about to jump onto Lijiang Tower, I just heard, which is a great map for a team like this.
It is. And, one of the things that Old and Bored have going in their favor is one of the things you've already hinted at is that, they have a lot of pedigree here. They are broadly very adaptable players with wide hero pools for the most part. And they can run the meta and the different variations on the meta that we have for Lijiang Tower. And like Lijiang Tower, out of all of the niche strat maps, might be the most niche mappiest. I might need to check my English on that one. But, you're talking about your Symmetra plays, your Junkrat, your Doomfist, your Mei, even when Mei is not in the meta, which it feels like she's been here for a little while now. We are going to see a lot of options here for Old and Bored that I think maybe, given what like to play and what they can play, we might not quite see so much variety on.
Right. Callback, fact check for you. Yezen's went to New Kings. That's where he's at now. And like you said, Lijiang, especially Control Center, I feel, is definitely where you see the most like variation and like wacky niche picks. And we're seeing that already. The Tracer Junkrat, the Ball from Chasm, the Zarya from I'm Special, we're already pausing. And the BAP Ana as well, which is frankly a relatively standard support line, I would say. So this composition is going to be all about high damage, high displacement, survivability mobility, some strong throughput heals onto Ball, especially. He's going to need it. Like it's a composition that can do well, but you saw on the other side, you saw Caffey on his McCree, which is one of his two like strongest heroes for sure. You saw a Sombra out there, which is always the bane of a Wrecking Ball. And then, you know, there are lots of options for Olden Board there to start trying to counter out what they see, especially given that you might not see a ton of variance from over the course of this series.
Well, it looks like this technical pause may take a little longer to sort out than we'd really like. So rather than just tie you up with our time, we're going to throw it to a quick break. And as soon as that's sorted out, we'll be right back with you. Okay, well, the technical fault that I said may have been hard to fix actually turns out to have not been that hard to fix over after all. So hopefully we're right back into this in medias res, into the middle of the action. Let's see where we left off.
Solid Latin. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Getting a little... I learned that listening to Shakespeare, actually, back in high school. So there you go. There's your history lesson from the history major here. Olden Board, again, I want to talk about them because we talked about Alya's comp for a bit before this the fight really got started. The McCree Sombra, I think, is a pretty good combo. Lots of CC and hacking to deal with Ball. Teemo and Pure Irish running their stock standard lineup really here. And Starboy on the Lucio, I think, might give them a strong engage, strong flexibility of engage potential here as we get into the fight.
Well, that's a huge amount of damage onto Ball, currently playing as Kazuma. Only really just got out with the life there. But up to 40% of the ult charge already is a pretty good start here. But look at the positional pressure that Olden Ball are able to put out here. The second that Ball is able to roll through, there is someone there to counter in, whether it's the flash, whether it's the Diva with the rundown, or whether it's the hack.
So much damage coming out from like they have the utility and they have the engage potential, but they need to be able to survive all of the damage coming through from Kaya, from Ball, from Ken as well on the tracer. Already almost like a pulse bomb. I'm special charged up and just doing work, and Snappy getting the best of Kaya there.
Yeah, Snappy with the clap back, but I think that might be too little too late there. Are going to get the flip. And that was really just a couple of off-angle individual plays coming through there for Oya. Olden Board just got picked apart over the course of about 30 seconds.
Right, yeah, and a long fight where things are just getting chaotic and the team is getting separated, those will always favor They want you split apart. Olden Board, just like you're seeing right now, they want to move in that little death ball. They want to stick together, and want to break that up by any means necessary, including a pick and a stick like that. That was beautiful. The Immortality build saves them.
Well, hopefully that will have at least got the high noon out of the way for a little while longer. The cap is already at 35% for the next one. So for now, Oya holding on to point, and Ball is going to have the minefield ready to go in this next fight, but one up already. We expect Teemo to be back in the fight shot for Kea, who was the last to fall on that one. And for now, Olden Board will have to wait just a little bit before they can get back in on this fight.
Right. I think for Olden Board here, you're close to some ultimates, but farther from some others. If I'm them, I try and just pull what I can from them. Just kite away, waste time on this Riptire. For instance, you see Ball drop the minefield off screen. This is good, though, for Olden Board. The longer they just hang out and let those ults go, the better it's going to be for them.
Yeah, that was a nice bit of patience there from Kaya. Burns time off the clock, if nothing else, and buys a little more time for some ults to come on board here. Going to be the amplification matrix up from Kaya already, and again, the gravitic surge, and a lot of charge available, and a solo shadow onto I'm Special. Teemo turns them into jam against the wall. Control center lands the fire strike onto Ken, and if you like, Olden Board back in control of the point.
Right, so not the most perfect engage from Olden Board. That Amp Matrix caught them just the slightest bit off guard. You saw Pure Irish running over to peel for that. But a longer fight and some strong solo plays from Olden Board let them build up the ultimates that they were missing, and then just get those last couple clutch kills they needed to turn that around. Now a much more even ult fight. Frankly, a bit of an advantage here for Olden Board if they can hold it. The EMP especially could be a real game changer to get them farther along. Here it goes.
There it goes. Both tanks caught in the range of the EMP. I'm Special down to very low HP, but no kills so far. And in fact, I'm Special had enough charge ready that Teemo goes down. Ball's going to be hacked out and ultimately sent back to spawn there, so Gibson able to deal the final blow on that one. Gavi ready to tag back in, 140 HP, not quite at full strength, might be in a 1v2, can't quite land the fan, the hammer in time, the immo comes down, and that's going to be Cappy holding onto his life, and now with the high noon, buys space, nobody yet in range, might get a line onto I'm Special, just not quite far enough out past that central pillar, and now it's down to Oya to try and recap, because it is 86 to 82 right now. They've already got 2 on the board. Ken and Kaya getting 1 apiece here. Kaya with the second, getting the V-Mech as well. And oh yeah, they're going to go the distance here. I believe there's some stalling on the point, but it's unlikely to stay in the possession of Olden Board that much longer. They will secure the flip, but it's last fight territory for both teams.
Right. It took a long time to capture that. It felt like they were winning that fight from pretty early on. They were just never able to establish the point presence. And that's, a great job from Olden Board there. The stall, I think, was fantastic to get them over to 94%, and then to force the overtime there from Sir Gibson, just barely hitting it. Timo swapping over to the Winston, hoping to get a little more pressure on the back line, perhaps, because they've both been doing really well for just really making sure that their front line can stay surviving in these chaotic fights.
Pure Irish has the potential to really upset the apple cart here. I'm Special does have the Graviton Surge, and Olden Board actually flip the point. Oh yeah, get off. They take the pressure down a notch, and now they've got to get back in and recontest. They've got to make something happen with this combo, and we see the Nano go on to ball. The Graviton Surge sticks them all up, but even with the kills going in their favor, by taking their little tippy toes off the point, they give that to Olden.
Was that a C9? What do you think?
I long ago gave up trying to argue what is and is not a C9. I've decided I just don't have the authority for it.
That's fair. That's fair. As the guy who runs Mayhem Socials, I kind of fixate on that sometimes for no particular reason at all. Ha ha ha. In any case, like you said, that was just a bit of a rough one for It looked like they were starting to win, but there were some trades back and forth. And I think in general, there was just so much effort from to really keep the team separated, which is what they want to do. But in the process, they may be ranged too far afield. So now we are going to try again here on Night Market, excuse me. We have some quick teleports over to point, but as fast as a teleporter is, Ball maybe is a little bit faster. He's ranging around here on the sides. But Olden Board happy to just move straight to point together and say, you're going to have to come to us.
Looked like it might be the 5 and 5 V6 here momentarily for Oya, because I think Paul was out here maybe engaging in some Sombra checking. So Gibson obviously back onto the Sombra, having given them the early teleport back out again. And Olden Board just kind of take that uncontested. Yeah, Oya kind of give a little bit of pressure here and there, but they've just been a little bit slow about making this engagement. And Kaya and Carnation get caught out. And once both supports are off the table, that's kind of it. It's going to be down to Ken to maybe find a little bit of damage here and there to build up to an ult, but ultimately that is Olden Board holding on.
Right, and strategy there was just like, okay, send in Ball, and if you kind of like find a straggler, like the weak Gazelle, like go ahead and take it out. But there was never an option for that. Olden Board knew exactly what was going on. They held shield, they just stayed put, they didn't go chasing anybody and becoming that weak Gazelle, and when that happens, it's all too easy for Olden Board to establish control on the point. Now they also have a couple ultimates coming online. Are getting close to a few, but not really. That sleep is pretty nice, but the Ant Matrix should kind of deter any engagements off of that.
Yeah, a combination of Baptiste abilities there. The amplification makes sure the immortality field, the ability to jump off to the high ground and really pressure down Ken before rejoining the fight was pretty huge part of that as well. And that's going to be back to spawn. And they've not really got much to play with here. Like the DPS ults are nice, but I don't see how they really win a fight with them just yet.
No, and it looks like are trying to still contest this opening with the Ant Matrix, and the Nano Boost here. Like they really want to win this, but this whole time these ults are ticking. They're getting some picks now, but we're going to be looking at 80% or so before they actually manage to cap, if they manage to cap at all.
Nano there was to keep Am Special alive at high charge and with the ultimate ready to play with. Now has a good position on the point, receives the flashbang, takes the damage, but ultimately lives through that one, and the cap does come through for but you said that right. We're at 81% for Olden Board. Another cap here and a relatively good defense sees them take this map.
Right, and even if it doesn't, they have time. They don't need to come in and blow everything they've got on this fight. They could easily build up to their support ultimates in this next one, extend it out, draw out the Riptire as it comes out, and hopefully the Graviton Surge, if I'm Olden Board. I would like that to be out before really trying to engage. And Kaya can't even figure out where anybody is right now.
Catches them. Well, okay, catches Cafe out of position. And Cafe did, of course, have that high noon ready to go. That's why they were playing down there, away from the rest of the team. The rest of the team waiting really just to bring that back into line of fire, the rest of the team, and give them space for that. Looks like we may be having a little bit of an issue here, so apologies, guys. It's Contenders Trials. It wouldn't be Contenders Trials without one or two technical issues.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. Things freeze, fire alarms go off, lightning strikes. We've had many interesting and creative excuses for pauses and technical difficulties over the years. So this is just one more, but it looks like we're ready to get back in there. It was just a quick little blip, and now we are running straight back.
That's right. A brief lungful of air, and we're diving back into the map. Sir Gibson and Pure Irish, a couple of kills between them. And it looks like we did actually get the EMP expended during that slight technical hiccup. And Oldham Board have come back in and managed to reclaim the point. And that's going to put them at 86% and rising now. They're going to move up to the choke. They do not want Oye getting anywhere close to keeping this contested. They're so keen on this that they're going to invest in the sound barrier here from Starboy. But it's not worked out just yet. We may see Oye give it a chance to tag onto the point as they have got 2 kills on board. Yes, they will get somebody onto the point. My assumption is that's all keeping things alive here. Oye have done a good job of getting back in. They won't secure the flip though. It's still 99-73. Overtime almost ticking down there, and it's I'm Special just getting back onto the point for long enough to keep that in contestation. But now they're down. They've got 2 supports and a diva. That's difficult for a trickling team to deal with any day of the week. Shadow out for good measure, Timo. Why not? And it's going to be 2-0 on Lijiang Tower, putting Oldham Board at 1 in the series.
Right, and great, I think, from Oldham Board to push that point, really. There's 90% left, or 90% on the board, excuse me, so 10% left. I can do math. And they say, you know what, I think if we push up and really just kind of hold them at that opening choke, they're not going to be able to get to the point at full strength and really force a fight. And we're at a bit of a disadvantage right now. Let's try and just kind of move up, use what we've got. It's super close. I think we can make this happen. It got a little messier than they would have liked. Some things leaked out. You got the ball just running around the side as he does. But ultimately, they were right. Strategically, they were able to force into a less than ideal engagement. And after that, once you get Timo back on that Reinhardt and you get Cafe back as he got picked out mid-fight on the Tracer, it was all too easy. So great job there, I think, strategically from Oldham Board, just understanding the win condition of their engagement given the state of the map, right? Like, we know we've got not much time. Let's just push this and throw them off balance. And that's a really great strategy, I think, for teams like Oye, or against teams like Oye, who kind of have this set plan, like, we got one thing and this is what we're going to do, and they're like, well, what if we did this? So great job from Oldham Board there. Now we're 1-0 up.
And of course, if you look at the performance that Oye had yesterday, they played against Raspberry Racers, another team that has, over the past year, developed something of a pedigree in Contenders EMEA. That was a 3-0 shutout as well. And I would have argued that, Oldham Board, I feel at the minute, Raspberry Racers might be a stronger team than Oldham Board. Obviously, they haven't had that matchup yet. We can't say for certain. And so this should, in theory, be an easier matchup for Oye. On the back of that, they're just looking a little too disjointed to really make that happen. Or at the very least, Oldham Board are too good at doing the things you highlighted just there and taking away space, stopping lines of ingress for Oye to really get purchase here. So at the second day of trials in a round robin of 7, if they find themselves at 3-0 here, they will be in a very difficult place to climb back up the ladder into contestation for Contenders proper at the end of the week.
Right. I mean, the deeper you dig a hole at the start, the more you got to climb at the end. And like you said, there's not a lot of games going on. This is not like a big 10-game round robin situation. Like you've got about a week.
Yeah.
So you can't really afford to start slipping like that, And I agree. I think Oldham Board are a great team. I really actually do want to see that head-to-head, the Oldham Board versus Raspberry Racers. But regardless of the strength of the opponent, I mean, like even against like Fusion Uni, who you might consider to be like the top team in the group right now because it's basically an owl team, like you need to be showing up. You need to at least take a map here and there if you can, because every map counts. We always get to the end of trials and we go, okay, the teams that are going to make it to Contenders are going to be decided by like a map or 2. So if you're getting 3-0'd to start, man, that's a hole. That's a heck of a hole to dig yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds kind of reductive to say that, the team with the most points wins, but, that's the situation we're in here. You do need every map you can get. For those of you that are only just tuning into Contenders Trials and maybe unfamiliar with the format, it's a 7-team round robin. So every team will face off against every other team in the stage, effectively. And at the end of that week of games, once every team has played every other team, it's the 2 teams with the highest scores. If there's a draw, it's going to be the highest number of map wins that decide who goes through, and then they get a spot up in Contenders proper next season. I believe we also get a continuation in trials for the 3rd and 4th place team. I will need to consult the rulebook on that one, but that's right. Normally how this works out. It's only if you're down below 4th that you're back to open division, or back to, as we often see from trials, a disbandment and maybe trying to find a new team.
Yep. There's a reason we had a team called That's a Disband.
Yeah.
Classic. The good old days. But enough reminiscing. I think us old boys love to talk about the good old days as we hit the 5-year anniversary of Overwatch being around. We are actually looking to start back up onto another map here in the present day today. We are going to Hollywood next, my backyard. Of course, it is not a good evening for me as you opened it, Phil. It is 11 something in the morning. So it's nice and sunny, much like it is over there in Hollywood, where I'm at. But this is another interesting chance, I think, for all to kind of get a fresh start, right? This is a very different game mode. This is a very different map. Lots of high ground in that streets phase to maybe try and take advantage of. And in general, just more vantage points for Ball to kind of like hide until the perfect moment and then just run out and like run somebody over. Like that's all Yaz kind of style, right? You saw that on Night Market of just like, I'm going to roll in and you're going to bubble me and I'm going to see if I can take somebody out. Like there are tons of opportunities for that here on Hollywood. So we'll see if he can make anything happen or if in general can make anything happen. They are starting on the attack here. You see Olden Board coming out with the double bubble. Lots of CC here. The hack, obviously, the sleep dart, the shield bash from Brigitte. Lots of options, I think, for Olden Board. I think they know where Aya's bread is buttered. And they're just kind of prepared for that. Kathy on the Ashe, though, is a really interesting choice. I don't see it too often from him, but it's a great pick. Like, Ashe in general is in a pretty good spot, I think, balance-wise, and can do just a ton of work on maps like Hollywood. So let's see what they can get done.
And I guess it's really down to adding just that little bit more CC into the mix. Kathy's job here is going to be to interrupt Ball's pile drivers, right, with the coach gun, just get that out of the way. So Olden Board designed very much here to stop being able to ban any purchase. Let's see if they can make that work. Kaya happy to spam in, no lines of sight, and look, just crossed fingers, pressing the fire button, and Snuffy is going to go down. We do have a res online. Carnation should be in a position here to bring her Hampe back, so that is Hampe playing as Schoolboy, to bring them back into line. Sorry, I'm getting my teams mixed up here. We have swapped sides. In the green, Olden Board, and the white, of course.
Man, this is the res didn't come through though, like you mentioned, right? Like you figure it should have been easy, but she must have died somewhere like way out of field. And now like the picks are coming through, right? Kaya got a pick before dying. Ken just got a pick. The Starboy just traded, and then Ball just traded on Pure Irish. This is so back and forth, but this is going to favor the attackers, you figure, because of the spawn advantage, right?
Yeah, and Kathy back on the Tracer, probably the hero that we are most familiar seeing him on here. We'll find the pick onto Carnation here and then gets out of trouble. Ken's going to stay and do a little bit of bodyguarding there for now. The Balls managed to get the minefield online, and now a lot of pressure coming the way of Teemo. The roll through from Kazman, a nice big bounce back again, but up onto the high ground for Teemo. And looking to get that second tick on board. Teemo tags back down with care of the bubble from Pure Irish. Now have some ults to play with. They've nearly got the grab, which has been incredibly quick charging. They've got both support ults, and they've almost got a Riptide here. This is almost just their game to win, and as Teemo goes down, it's probably down to Olden Board here to do just what they can to keep the time ticking over. That's going to go towards taking out. Carnation fall as well, but it looks like there is a lot of presence on the point here for as Ken finds the double up onto the high ground to deal with Pure Irish. Gonna hold on to the bob ready for the next fight, and there's the cap onto Streets.
I mean, that was actually a great fight from Arya. The only criticism, I guess, would be the Graviton, but he thought, I'm Special thought he was going to need it to help Kaya get the stick, basically, and it just didn't happen. But Arya played that just to their style, which is we're just going to hang out. We're just going to kind of close our eyes and look away and press left click until we get some kills. And it totally worked. Like they managed to get some key picks to start the fight and then kept trickling those picks to never really let Oldenboard approach again at full strength. So a great capture from them. 4 minutes now to get through street space, and the pressure is still on. Bob coming out on point.
7th man on the field, but Cafe with the stick. Get Incarnation down and out of the fight. So Bob no longer the big equalizer here. Cafe adding his own mathematics into the mix on this one, and it's looking good for Oldenboard to hold on to this one. And actually expended quite a lot of value in that fight.
Right. I mean, they were looking to really just maintain the pressure, keep the momentum going, and keep their foot on the gas. But that graviton from Pure Irish was so good. It caught everyone it needed to as he gets caught in a trap from Kaya. It doesn't really matter, but an extra 70 damage, sure. That grab just fully stopped them in their tracks, gave Oldenboard the time they needed to get re-engaged and to nullify everything that, oh yeah, we're ready to throw at them. And now the Primal coming through, looking to do much the same.
Yeah, Primal, I think they're really just keeping Teemo alive here, but already finding value with it into the back, and Kaya down to the swinging meaty muscly arms of the Winston. That's going to be 2 down already for Oldenboard, and this is a really, really good position to be playing from if you're Oldenboard. Super defensively favored.
Right. In addition to that great grab from Pure Irish, it was at the perfect spot because now they have great control over this opening high ground and all the choke points. Sir Gibson has the download and the EMP coming in close quarters, but he gets slept. He gets it off. It is a 5-man EMP, and Teemo and Pure Irish are coming in to clean up. But that sleep, a second too short, but very clean nonetheless.
Yeah, I think that might actually be in the fabled 6-man EMP on that one, and it's going to force Ken to make the swap now. Onto the McCree. Will, of course, have a couple of big ults ready in the next push through, and they already do. Cafe here, care of the Mind Trap from Kaya. Sometimes it does seem like Tracer might be magnetically attracted to those.
Yeah, you know, it feels like they are only magnetic when I'm playing Tracer, though. Not when I'm playing Junkrat. Blizzard, if you could look into that for me if you're watching right now, that'd be great. Kaya is honestly doing tons of work, though, the magnetic trap or not. Just getting those opening picks, the Sombra checking from Unspecial, just like, where are you? But in general, like, the trap placement has actually been really good because they're in places you don't expect. You're not looking for a trap up there on the high ground on that ledge where Unspecial got caught. And Caffey certainly wasn't looking for one because he got his legs cut off. And now, yeah, Ken on the McCree, actually. I think that's an interesting choice. You would think you'd keep Ash for that high ground control, but when you're doing stuff like this, I guess it doesn't really matter.
Man, that's a big grab. We'll actually see Ball commit the power driver there and brings the mines out. Hack can't currently use them, and the rally from Starboy here is already pretty impactful. Managed to keep Pure Irish alive, keeps Pure Irish in charge of their charge and ready to use that in the upcoming fights. But Ball's going to have the minefield.
Another great grab.
And actually destroyed there by Pure Irish between the grab and the high charge, but it's not been a fair trade so far. Ken with the one piece on the high noon takes Teemo out of the fight, and it's a nice, carefully calculated long-range lob from Kaya that takes Snuffbear out of the fight. A flashbang kill for Ken rounds out the fight, and on we go into the studio.
Well, and you know, we make a lot of jokes, no aim, no brain, Junkrat main type situations, but that was like, he did his calculus for that one. Like, he perfectly timed that. That was crazy. In any case, now, pushing forward, Kaya again with a trap. I feel like, and he got 2 with that. Oh my goodness!
Wow, that's
Kaya is on a tear right now.
Yeah, maybe a little bit too aggressive there from Sir Gibson and Starboy. Look to get up over the top and contest the cart from the high ground. Maybe get a cheeky hack in or a full EMP from Sir Gibson, but able to counter that easily. Kaya with a 2-piece, and they're keeping the cart crouching on forwards. Oldenboard will have the EMP here, and Sir Gibson is going to be back soon. In fact, you can see them just down the right-hand side, going toe-to-toe with I'm Special, but will get found out. So still an option here, but the cart's still pushing on forwards, and Ken's able to find Snappy. Is the hack manually onto Ken, but they're still finding the kills here. Carpe starts to push back a little bit. Pure Irish as well. Ken Carnation both down. Carpe with the second. Pure Irish down to I'm Special. There's no amount of defense metrics in the world that will save you from that. And I'm Special on a tear gets the double. And now with just over a minute on the clock, we are rounding the final approach.
Sir Gibson with a 1-man EMP on the ball. I mean, I understand, like, wanting to focus down Ball. He's certainly annoying, and, like, I get it. But maybe wanted to wait for a slightly more impactful ultimate. Now, have a great engage opportunity here.
I actually think that was an uncharacteristically wide of the mark minefield there for Ball. A little bit to the right, does give Olden Board a line through the mines. Well, we see them coming back in, managing to displace Teemo into the mines a little bit. And Kaya with another tie here, burning time off the clock, up the stairs, round the shield, and into Teemo. 5 seconds remaining here, and it's a handful of percentage on the card required. Mortality down, the 9 special pushes up with a huge amount of charge. Sound barrier comes out from Starboy here. Momentarily keeps your Irish back in the fight, who now has the self-destruct. He goes high, he goes wide, and it finds I'm special in the cracks between the converters on the left-hand side there. Snapper to find Ken, but Ball is still causing all kinds of trouble here. For Olden Board, this really feels like just getting a last little bit of time off the clock, maybe down into OT, but not even that. 6.6 seconds on the clock here for Oya.
That felt like that was a lot of like really good pressure from Oya. Like I feel like they were able to play the game they wanted to play. No more of that, like, we're going to death ball on the point and you're going to have to figure out which one of us is the weak gazelle. Like, no, like, they were all weak gazelles there. Like, that entire last phase, they never let their foot off the gas. Olden Board constantly trying to find some angle to re-engage from, but never getting the opening. That last EMP from Sir Gibson, just the one-man EMP, you need a little more than that, especially when Kaya's pulling out value. And you need to be careful as well with Kaya in general, because that guy's having a map, right? Like, I feel like every Riptire is getting value, 1 or 2 kills or more. I'm special with some crazy high charge. Ken hitting the shots. Like, this is a whole momentum swap for Oya, which they really needed. That 6.6 seconds, not the greatest time bank in the world, but it's something. You know, some teams don't even finish the map. So to be able to finish it at all gives them at least a draw condition later, which is good.
And I feel like there's certain bits of the kit here for Oya that are fairly defensively favoured. I mean, diving back into the archives even, Junkrat used to be classified as a defensive hero, so it can be very difficult to push into a good Junkrat that knows exactly where the lines of ingress are and how to shut them down. Ken is an extremely flexible player, and I've always thought this about Ken. Can play pretty much any DPS hero to a pretty good standard, and 1 or 2 to a phenomenal standard. And the flashbang and the sheer damage output from the McCree here, or the Hanzo even, as it seems we're going to get the swap to, makes this a real threat for Olden Board.
Right, and Olden Board, you see them maybe thinking about going for that opening hook, but there was no one around in the front to go for. So Teemo straight swap back to the Reinhardt. More of the same from them, more of what I'm expecting. Pure Irish on the Diva, definitely his favorite hero. And like you said, like tons of defensive options for them. Kaya can spam all day long. Ken can just throw arrows, stand range. I mean, he doesn't throw them. There's a whole mechanism. I'm not going to get into it. And Ball, you know, happy to just kind of sit on the fringes and try and disrupt these rotations from Olden Board, exactly as they're doing now. And Kaya, what a guy.
Kaf is able to find one there. Ball's down, but, you know, Ball is going to be back almost as quick as a res would allow. Kappa does find Kaya here, and speaking of res, that's Carnation bringing Kaya back into the fight, and Kaya and Ken, between them, the good majority of their ults in that fight, and Ken happy to spam down range and look for that remaining 9%.
Right, and Kaya will build this up pretty quickly too, just kind of holding left mouse, as it were. You see Cafe swap over to the Tracer, probably trying to get some quicker engages, go for a flank, maybe catch out Kaya as he drops the Riptire, perhaps. You know, Junkrat very vulnerable while the Riptire is revving. And man, he is just spamming it down. Now though, like they have these DPS ultimates, but in general, they're just so far ahead because of these swaps from Olden Board. And there goes Teemo.
That's unlucky for Teemo. No really good way to know exactly where that tire is going to be coming from. In fact, part of the skill of its use, burn a lot of time off, make them stutter, make them stall, wait for them to come around the corner with it, and then drop it and take it a main tank out. This is always going to slow you down by another 20 seconds while they respawn.
And it's going to take another minute to really establish a decent ultimate position for Olden Board, but their fights are going so slow because they get picked so fast, just like that. Oh, just like this. Ouch. Man, I need an ibuprofen after that one. I'm getting sympathy headaches. Oh my goodness. And Ken, you know, he's still just holding on to his ultimate. He has no reason to use it. He's going to hold it for I'm Special to get his grab. That's a great combo. Olden Board coming close to the EMP and coming close to their sound barrier as well, but minute 40 on the clock here. There is not a lot of time. You're looking at 2 or 3 fights tops.
No, a minute and 40 on the clock and 80% of an EMP. You would have liked to have had at least one, hopefully two by this point, but oh yeah, making it so difficult for Gibson to get that charge. And that's going to be the DMAC from the Dragon and just everybody else all in on the primary fire to take Oldenboard out of the fight. The benefit here is Oldenboard now do have a couple of ults coming their way. That EMP online shortly. Starboy should be able to get this sound barrier online by the time we're ready to really need it. But this is going to be very close to their final push. We're at the minute marker here. They've got to make it happen.
Right, and notice Cafe is still over in the street, still trying to find a way to get back. He's looking to try and get a pick over there on Mercy. It doesn't look like that's going to happen. Instead, he goes and supports Teemo. Another Riptire coming through, another kill and a DMAC, and the kill onto Pure Irish. Pure Irish responds, I guess that's something, but 49 seconds, half your team.
Explosive for explosive.
Yeah.
But starting to turn around a little bit here. Starboy does a bit of fun. I don't believe the rest is online. I think that brought Kaya back into the fight less than 30 seconds ago. So there's a window here. There's a 34-second window for Oldenboard with 2 ults to their name to get in and engage. Sound barrier out early. Ice Special throws in the grab, so those two kind of neutralize each other there. But crucially, Carnation is now out of the fight. It's down to Hampe, who's now back on the Lucio, to try and make something happen here and keep his team alive. Oldenboard finally have a foothold on the point. They finally got that first tick took over. And this looks like it might be where they cap the point. But this has been a much, much slower cap than it was for Oya on their offensive run. And of course, Ball is not done with the stall just yet. And Carnation brings Kaya back into the fight. But ultimately, they tag off. And that's going to be the flip going through for Oldenboard, who now get a crack at the street phase.
And great job from Caffey there. I think we saw that POV for a bit, just playing bouncer. Just saying, you're so annoying, but I can be annoying too. Like, Tracer's the original annoying hero, and I'm going to show you how it's done, because I've been around since she was the original annoying hero. Did a great job of really zoning Ball out, not letting him get in on that fight as much as he would have wanted. As well as from Starboy. The sound barrier to counter out the grab was perfect. Of course, there was no sound barrier to help with Kaya. So the Riptire coming through, it's going to see what it can get. It does get Teemo because that's just how this goes. Sir Gibson got the pick on Kaya even mid-Riptire, but with a Mercy on the field, that's not a huge deal.
Well, you know, it didn't even really need to kill there. The Oldenboard team had picked up that furthest building as high ground control, and Oye wanted them gone so they could have it for themselves on the defense. And now they're not going to have that. And there's nowhere really that the minefield can be avoided because the ball is up on the high ground. We'll get hacked, so won't be able to use that just yet, but I don't expect the cart to have rolled far enough to really have that be a problem. Self-destruct will force Pure Irish back around. Sorry, will force I'm Special back around the corner as Teemo finds a pick. And now up into aerial combat against a Mercy. A lot of damage there, and actually gets the final kick there from Pure Irish to take him out of the fight. Pure Irish with a little bit of trouble up into the sky to try and take Kaya out, but it's going to be Carve that chases down the kill. And for a very slow point A cap, this is looking like a very quick point B cap. The minefields, though, may start to slow things down a little bit for Oldenboard. Cafe takes the forward positioning on the right-hand side here, wants to catch people coming in. Won't find the stick, but buys a small amount of space. And prevents the follow-up damage onto I'm Special's Graviton Surge. Graviton Surge will find a little bit more value from I'm Special there with a whole lot of high charge, and that's where they mount the defense here. It was looking very good for Oldenboard for a second, but ultimately drag it back.
Right, and you were correct about mitigating the follow-up from the Graviton, or for the Graviton Surge, but you got to remember, I'm Special is his own follow-up for a Graviton Surge. Crazy high charge, happy to just wade in there and start throwing bombs. Oldenboard with a great beginning to that engage, a great dive, really playing their own style, but in a longer extended fight, they got separated again, they weren't really able to do anything, and that sound barrier is just too late, but it's desperation, it's last seconds, so now they really have to use everything they can. Ken doesn't care about that. Ken's gonna rip your head off. And
wow,
this map is over.
That is it.
Just like
done.
That. Wow. What
big turnaround here from Oya. Yeah, considering that they were shut out 2-0 on Lijiang, to stop Oldenboard here kind of halfway through the streets of Hollywood is quite a turn-up. And it's, I think, probably says a lot about the fact that it's their map choice. They got to pick what map we went to as a result of having lost that first round. And they absolutely picked a map they knew they could play into.
Right, you know, kind of like I mentioned at the beginning of the map, not to get too Nostradamus, look at me, but mentioning the high ground in streets, the flexibility of that composition to just move about the cabin, get the angles they want, get the plays that they want at the angles they want to play. That was definitely Oldenboard had some moments there where they started to play their game again, where they said, okay, we're going to dive. We're running dive here. Let's make sure we can actually get a dive off. But it was so difficult for them to ever get into a fight with a full team because there was always Kaya. There was always Ken. There was a res coming through if they got an opening pick. You know, there were very few moments where Oldenboard truly had the strategic edge, and that was very purposeful on Aya's part. So we talk about, you know, not a huge depth of strategy. You know, this is a team of one tricks, but if they make it work, they make it work. And Hollywood looked like they knew what they were doing. It was a great job from them. Let's see how that goes, though, now that we're tied up.
Yeah, well, they're making it work, and they've made it pay at one map on the board now. And we're going to give them a chance at a few more, but before we do, we are going to throw to a quick break, and we'll be back as soon as everyone is ready to go. Welcome back, everybody, and we are ready to go into the third map of the series, and it's going to be a payload map this time, and we're going to Gibraltar.
Oh, we have a side swap too, which is interesting. You know, some strategy here and there. These teams figuring out where they want to be, how they want to start out this this next map. No match points yet, of course. It's tied up here after the half. Gibraltar is another interesting one. There's some high ground potential in here, mostly in that middle phase in the shuttle bay, as it were. We've seen some weird Gibraltars lately, I felt like. Not in trials necessarily. Like in Owl, we've seen some weird Gibraltars. There's always the chance for the full hold randomly. There's also the chance for the like 5.5 minute time bank. Like you really never know with a map like Gibraltar. One of the classics, one of the more popular maps, I think, in the game. And plenty of room, again, for all you had to kind of do their thing, but also for Olden Board to kind of like get that point presence, to kind of like clump up on the point with some shields, or to dive to run that Winston Diva again, especially again in that second phase.
Yeah.
So lots of flexibility here. Curious to see what we see.
There is, and I think there's maybe an aspect of comfort here for Olden Board, right? Because this is what you would call a solved map, right? People know at this level of play how to play this map. You know, you've got the blue box control during point A, you've got the ship control at point B. Like, they have their own set ways of play, their set compositions, and so Olden Board, I think, when they look at the range of what is available to they can go, okay, let's limit the number of axes on which they can mess us around, right? We'll play a map where we know how to play already. We know we can play it well. We've got a bunch of experience. And so that's just one less thing for us to worry about, right?
Right.
So I think, I'd love to know a little more from the guys, obviously, but I feel like that plays into it.
Right. And we've had a couple conversations like this with Caffey, or Associate Professor Caffey, as we like to call him. He has been around. A quick history lesson for you. He's been around since at least like 2016, 2017, which is a very long time. He was at the first World Cup group qualifiers for Team Israel with players like Awkward and EQO from the Fusion. He's just played for so long, and he has such a deep understanding strategically of the game, of the positions on maps like Gibraltar that are definitely like solved quantities, of the dynamics of the heroes he likes to play and of heroes in general. And he confers that for sure to his teammates. We've discussed with him before how they will sit there and they will talk it out, and they'll have a plan for maps like this. So this, again, being Olden Board's map pick, could be a real chance for that strategic edge to really shine through, and for a thinking man's game to be played.
And I think just another interesting little bit of history. You're right. Caffey has been playing since 2016. His first registered team being Guardians, and then World Cup 2016, 2017. And I haven't kept a particularly good record of what teams Caffey has played for, but I want to highlight two here in particular because they came one after the other, which is What the Hummus and Falafel Avengers Partners, which really leaning into that Middle Eastern influence.
Falafel Avenger Partners. I remember that one. God, that was one of the first teams with like just a wild name. Yeah. Like we had like bird noises and stuff like that, but Falafel Avengers Partners is really like, what are they doing? Like, we don't see teams. We have like these, we won't make that joke. We'll let you figure it out for you. But most teams were like Hammers Esports, LG Evil, like they had legitimate sounding names. And then there's Falafel Avengers Partner. Yeah. And that kind of like started to open the floodgates for wacky names. We had Chicken Contendies, like all these insane wild teams. There are too many to even think of at this point because there have been so many since. But long story short, Caffey's been around for a long time. This guy knows what he is doing. You can see them all at the window now trying to get a peek. What are they running, guys? Let's see if we can figure it out. Maybe they saw the Mercy. Maybe they saw the Echo here coming out from Ken. I'm very interested in that pick. We see it a lot. It's not uncommon. Caffey's going to have his work cut out for him, though. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah, I think Ken on the Echo here is the only really big wrinkle for them. And I don't know that I've seen a lot of play from Ken on the Echo. Certainly fits his hero archetype, if nothing else. All the run through on the high grounds. Let's go see the payload chugging its way through. With not a lot of point presence so far, which I guess you wouldn't expect with the comp they're running. Expect them to tag back in and just to try and stop it getting too much progress. And taking a bit of pressure and struggling to land any sort of real value here. Only 12% of the ultimate on board already. Usually would expect a little more just from spam coming in from the Echo here. And the payload moving through unchecked. Guys? They've got high ground control, but you've got to go get on the cart, guys.
Right, yeah. I feel like Oldenboard seem to kind of have expected this. I think they're playing in cover so well. Ken is not getting anything done, 30% of his ultimate, and Kaya too. Kaya even farther behind. So it feels like Oldenboard said, yeah, they're going to run spam. Like, we know what they're doing here. We know how to play this map to avoid spam, and they're doing a great job. And oh yeah, seems so thrown off by that they haven't really been able to even establish a point presence until right now. But they also just got picked off, a ball just got picked, so they're not doing it from an advantageous position. And Oldenboard are looking strategically really sound.
Yeah, this is going to be very difficult for them to stop because we're in that final few meter approach into that point B transition. Ball is now back, but we're seeing a lot of stun, a lot of CC thrown their way. And especially going to have to back out here. And Purosh is going to find Ken, and I think this is just going to come in uncontested. No, we will get a tag in there from Ball the last second. Carpe pulls the trigger on the high noon. Incarnation is down. Ampe is able to get the nano boost online, but it only buys a couple extra seconds of survivability behind special, and we get a very quick run through A.
So as much as Hollywood was Aya's map, it's looking like Gibraltar is Oldenboard's map. They are positioning themselves so well, they're applying pressure at the right times in the right places, and that first point, they looked like they had no idea what to do. They were like, yeah, we're going to come out and we're going to play spam and we're going to deal tons of damage and, full hold them. And then suddenly they were like, no.
Ooh.
The tire is great. That is a good start for them for sure. It's one of the first real openings they've had in a bit. But Oldenboard don't seem too deterred. Maybe that second pick will do it.
Maybe. And Starboy down here as well. And Pure Irish caught out of position on the chase, trying to find Ball, ultimately trapped between a rock and a hard place, and back to spawn. And now a chance for a momentum swap here for yeah.
Right. This is definitely a better sort of point for them to be able to kind of hide on the high ground, establish some cover of their own, and just start running people over, as they like to do. Kaya getting some value off of his Riptire, again, as he tends to do. But Oldenboard, to their credit, still, they've got 4 ultimates here. Oh yeah, have a few, but they don't have their support ultimates, and they don't have that Riptire. Caffey as well, swapping over to the Ash, will give them something to counter that high ground, where they can kind of attack from range and not have to worry too much. For Gibson on the Tracer, man, he is maybe a little caught out. They're trying to have to figure out what to do here.
Well, I think for now, happy just to give Ball the run around here, take a little bit of pressure off the points. But I'm special, smacks them all up into that little space on the entryway on the top. And 2 kills coming through. There's the deep duplicate onto Ken. So I'm special may have used that Graviton Surge in what looked like a very advantageous position, but it's really gone the way of Oldenboard here. Well, yeah, are going to hold on to some ultimates here. There's a couple of stompers coming online. We've got the Riptire, we've got the Minefield. That can stop this, but they've got to move it quickly. And speaking of quickly, that's going to be Ball back on the payload with the Minefield over the top. Self-destruct Riptire even. Out from Kaya, and Pure Irish is down. Timo back to the safety of Cafe on the high ground, and just put the brakes on the final second.
Right. I mean, a great initial engagement from Oldenboard. The Gravitons, they literally threw them at each other point blank in that little choke point on the right side now. So not a ton of follow-up coming out really from either of them, but it did manage to get I'm Special and kind of start that engagement off for Oldenboard. But the recontest was really too strong, especially with the Minefield and the Riptire both getting value. The duplicate from Ken didn't get much. He duplicated onto the Winston. But now this opening pick on Gibson, I mean, that's basically this whole fight done again. So more time off the clock here for Oldenboard as we cross 2 minutes. Not a ton to work with. You have Bob and you have the Pulse Bomb, but
nice.
Too many picks really to... Oh, okay. I tell a lie. Bob going in
on this one. Chips to the middle of the table, and Bob into the small room just to the side of the hanging shuttle. Incarnation down, so Gibson holds on to the Pulse Bomb and slowly pirouettes on the ground. Helps to track down Ken and take them out of the fight. And that's not going to be good enough, I'm afraid, sir. Gibson, a little bit of too much trust in the ability to dash out of the way, and Ball runs him back over with the Pulse Bomb still in play. This is being very messy from all sides here, frankly, Sybil.
Right, I feel like Oldenboard tried to make something happen with the Bob there. They must have seen some sort of opportunity, but I sure didn't see it. I mean, I'm in Plat, so really, what do I know? But at the same time, I know some stuff about Overwatch, and I don't think that was necessarily, as we call it, the play. Now, though, Oldenboard getting some opening picks, investing that Primal, just trying to make something happen. You have a minute left, so really, it's now or never.
And that was the key. That's the final Jenga block out of the tower, taking Hanpei out of the fight. No supports currently left on the field for Ken picks up the duplicate, but there is a heck of a lot of pressure coming his way. going to be down to Ball with the minefield once again, but it just does not matter as the kills come in quick and fast. So Gibson happy to play at range and take Ball out of the fight. It was a good time by there from after their slovenly point A, but ultimately we will get a point C here for Olden Board.
Right, only 2 minutes though to finish this out. That's not a ton of time for a point that can get very contentious on the defense here. They have a rally, they're coming online with a Bob and a self-destruct, but if I'm Olden Board, I think I maybe hold those, try and pull out the Grav and the Riptire, which they should know is coming online soon, and then come in that last minute or so to try and finish this out. So time bank won't be great, but really I feel like that's their safest option here, as are just looking for those little angles, those little windows to catch out that sickly Gazelle. Oh, the Grav catches the self-destruct too.
Oh,
that's
well, I think
disastrous.
there's a defensive self-destruct there from Pure Irish, but ultimately the lag between letting go of the mecha that exploded just wasn't enough, and able to capitalize on that in stonkingly good fashion. Kaya back into the fight via Rez, and they're going to have 2 more ults in this next fight, and Olden Board just have over a minute on the clock.
I mean, they pull the Graviton, which is great for Olden Board. They trade the Self-Destruct, which, hit or miss on any given day how much value you're going to get out of that. But it's a powerful zoning tool. Regardless, though, Kaya getting picks here, throw the ult economy discussion out of the window. If Kaya's getting picks, Kaya's getting picks.
And it's Gibson out of the fight first yet again. Kaya down. Kaya's Riptire left holding the fort. We'll find the D-Mech onto Pure Irish. Ball looking for an opportunity here. Ultimately gets stunned before the minefield can come out. We'll hold on to that at least, but has to go running now. Not particularly high on HP and having to run into Starboy with the rally running. So a lot of armor available now for Olden Board. Difficult for Oyer to chunk it through, but a slow engage here from Oyer will allow them time to bring the minefield into devastating play, and it just chops the map in half. A proper minefield here. No way to cross it. Safe, slow and steady, scanning to get rid of those mines and get through. 10 seconds left. And it's now down to just trying to tie them up. So Gibson lands 1 kill with Pulse Bomb, takes Ball out of the fight. But a quick respawn here for Ball. We'll see them back in very, very quickly. They're on the clock. They're rolling it forward now. Only have a handful of meters left in which they can stop this payload coming in and closing the distance. We get a nano-boosted Ash here. One of the few times I've ever seen that in an official, but certainly ups the damage potential here for Carpe. Allows him to do the bulk of the damage there onto Ball before Gibson gets the final blow, and that is it in OT for Olden Board.
I think that's a decent play, right? You need someone to really just chew through the Wrecking Ball's health. And who do you have? You have a Tracer and an Ashe, and I guess a Winston. But someone who's able to kind of stand back from range suddenly sees the Wrecking Ball that's spinning around point, not as some chaotic, unhittable thing, but as a ball just kind of spinning around on the ground. So great angle, I think, from Cafe, and a smart, kind of off-the-cuff play there to just... We know we just need to keep them from stalling. They're just going to stall for forever. Let's just chew through that one guy and we'll be fine. Kaya also kind of caught out in the backline, had no real way to get back into the fight. They knew he was there. It was effectively a 5v6 in that last fight before it even started, and then the picks started coming in. So rough spot there from but they do hold it in overtime at least, which is nice. I also noticed, I just thought this was funny. Kaya dropped a trap, and then next to the trap, dropped the trap spray.
The Jake special.
Right, and the Seagull special, actually.
Of course, yeah.
And Pure Irish, as he was dropping down, he started shooting the spray, and then realized, wait, that's not it. And I just thought that was hilarious.
I fell into his trap in a metaphorical sense.
Yes, and the mind games, the little bits like that. I think that's hilarious, but also just shows the depth that these players have, right? There's so much more to this game than just hitting your shots. This is a thinking man's game, and these guys, they're thinking. Now, they're just starting up on the approach. They have a Hanzo now, Ken on the Hanzo. I'm special on the Roadhog, so looking for some picks, looking to catch out some stray members on the dive as Olden Board run that Winston V to come.
That's right, it's the Ball and Chain here for Oyer, and Ball currently asleep in the backline. Huge amount of pick potential here for Oyer. Olden Board are having to play back a little ways. That was a nice little wriggle on the hook there. Brings Teemo back up into the line of fire. Will ultimately get at that, but will force the burn of both the leap and the shield. So a momentary vulnerability here for Teemo, and Sir Gibson now gets into the back. Spots Handbake, won't quite get that before the recall is forced. And in the meantime, Kai's will be able to find 2. to see Pure Irish take quite a lot of that damage there before ultimately deciding better, and tries to flee to the cart. Instead, flees into Ken, who's got an arrow for the mech and an arrow for the head of the D-Mech Diva. Looking like a quick A potential here for Ariel. Ball asleep on the job once more. Sir Gibson with a swap over onto the Echo, and Kaya just beams him out of the air. Gives the rest come through, but that's the cap just a handful of these away from coming through. And Special is able to find one. Kaya with the second. Pops to take a breather, will get most of that all online. The Dragon comes through, splits the cart nicely. Nobody can actually get in and keep it contested, but just close enough now to stop it rolling on through. That puts 3 minutes on the clock. And I'm Special is a big target here on Roadhog. No real way to get out of the way of that sleep. Will happily take that nap down behind the payload, so the self-destruct doesn't take him out. Ball drops the balls, and that's going to be it. We see them come through now. 4 minutes, 40 seconds on the clock, and Kaya with a last-second riptide looking for a kill, and a bit of a stagger, and Snappy is down.
Yeah, a great stagger there for sure. Just in general, I felt so bad for Pure Irish in that fight, because I think all have realized, like, oh, they're running Diva because we're running a lot of spam. So let's just completely overload this poor Irish man until he doesn't really know what to do. And he just kind of sat there spinning around with his defense matrix, and there's, what do you hit, right? Do you block the Junkrat that's ripping your team apart, or the Roadhog that wants to rip you apart, or the Wrecking Ball? Oh, this guy is hitting some hooks too, so I'm Special, a real threat here. And then there's Ken, of course, how could I forget? Ken, just spamming arrows. Oh, Pure Irish,
well,
poor guy. But they're still doing okay.
Yeah, there's the D-Mech. Cafe with a swap over onto the creep. Already has the ultimate online. And this may be where the defense starts to solidify a little bit here for Olden Bourne as Ball gets knocked out once again. So fairly even trade here so far, but as Olden Bourne start to get the respawns in their favor, they may have a bit more presence on the cart for a little while.
Right, at this halfway point through the streets phase, the defenders start to get a bit of an advantage there, so that's a real window for them. Sir Gibson swapping to the Roadhog, getting a little, does get I'm Special. That's nice.
Yeah, it seems a little bit rude, you know, firstly take the hero and then take them out of the fight after they were given such a lovely gift. The Kaya's been able to equalize, that's Pure Irish out of the fight, and another Riptire available. This time it's going to find Starboy as the rest comes through, but it has allowed Pure Irish to get back into the fight, which provides a little more survivability here. And it's a brawl up in the shuttle, ultimately. Ampé's able to get the better of that one, and Sir Gibson is down, but the cart still not moving particularly quickly here for Oyer.
No, they only really just managed to establish a presence on it. And Olden Board, though, have some options to get back in. Cappy with that pick is pretty solid. Kaya, again, just like doing the integral equations to figure out the slope of the bomb and maths jokes. He's doing really well. Kaya getting another pick there onto Teemo, gets traded out, but then immediately gets reds. So this is looking like a 2nd-point capture, I think. For I don't think... there might be a little recontest there, but Starboy just going down. The remake, I guess, from Pure Irish, I get it, but I don't know if I would have taken that.
Okay, well, the payload is not quite there yet, and Teemo's able to find pick onto I'm Special. So I think Olden Board here are just happy to burn time off the clock, but Teemo lands in Kaya's trap, and then Kaya does the rest with the primary fire. Starboy Pure Irish down. Cappy now will swap over onto the Traitor, but momentarily tags off the payload, and we get the cap come through. But now for Olden Board, it's going to be down to how much time they can burn off here.
Right, they're about 1 minute and 20 ahead of where Olden Board were, and Olden Board committed so much for an extra 40 seconds, which is something that's one team fight when you think about it. But they invested the primal, they invested the self-destruct. Like, I feel like there was a lot given there for not a lot gained. Snappy now. Ooh, okay, the nano boost goes out, and Sir Gibson and Caffey are combining to do some work here and establishing an early defense.
Yeah, Kent will find one there with Pulse Bomb, but probably not enough to turn the tides here. And this is best case scenario for Olden Board, right? Stop them here, get much more of a level time bank by the time the payload starts to roll through again. But, have other ideas, as I'm Special is able to find Teemo. And Carnation, who I believe is T-Sorcerer, brings Hanbei back into the fight. Snappy turns and finds the Kaya. Nothing on that one from Kaya this time. A rare miss on the Riptire here from Kaya. The payload around with the final corner. I'm Special able to find Starboy, and Sir Gibson is now down. If Oyer can keep up the pace here, they're looking to come in with a much better time bank than Olden Board managed. And the kills keep on coming through, and it is so difficult to outrun Ball.
Yeah, and you would think, like, you don't think of Roadhog as like the sneaky flanker, but both takes there for, oh yeah, we're completely behind and totally snappy out of position. Now they're re-engaging here with the whole hog, really just forcing them back. But Oldenboard, with that spawn advantage, that's going to be a real tough order for, oh yeah, you got about 2 minutes left. Not too many ultimates to work with now that you're coming online with a couple. Oldenboard invests the duplicate, it looks like. And they have a couple tools of their own to work with here, but the opening pick there from Ball. Man, this is so back and forth.
Nice connect there on the stickies from Sir Gibson, but ultimately Ken's able to find Sir Gibson and put them to rest, at least momentarily. Ken now has the high noon, happy to play in the confined space on the right-hand side. Rotates through, takes that back position, sees the schools come into the line of sight, and Oldenboard hiding behind the payload, but paid to that. Buys a little bit of space, and they start to push back here. The Oldenboard, the Irish, got to find T-Sorcerer, Cafe, find Ken in the middle of the sleep. So Gibson gets in on that. Now back over onto the Sombra. Beautiful defense matrix there. The Irish stops the hook, finding value. And look, say what you want about how Oldenboard have been doing, but Snappy has been hitting some phenomenal sleeps today.
Oh yeah, and in general, I mean, even as early as Lijiang on the Baptiste, he was pretty consistently winning out 1v1s that you wouldn't necessarily expect him to. Sir Gibson here, though, on the Sombra with the manual hack, doing some work here. And Cappy coming back with a pulse bomb. Could get a lot of work done, but he kind of whiffed that. I cursed him, I'm sorry.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate. Ken there with the ankle breaker. Takes the value out of the pulse bomb. Payload starting to roll on through again, but we're now at the 30-second mark. We've burned 3 entire minutes off the clock, and this is probably the hardest point to retake for Oye, because the respawns are going to be so heavy here for Oldenboard, and they've got no ults on the table.
No ults here, and Oldenboard happy to hold on to this EMP to completely shut things down, or even just focus down Ball. Pure Irish throwing in. Oh, what a great combo there. The Nano Primal engage with the EMP and the bomb to zone everybody out. It says you're not going to push onto this the way you wanted to, guys.
So Cafe may have slightly missed his jerk on that dash there, but ultimately not going to matter too much as Chasm is now down. Ball even. Nice hit with the biotic grenade, takes Cafe out of the fights. We do have all what's available here for Oldenboard, but currently both players with the ults are currently respawning. Teemo can do a lot here. With this Primal Rage, just buy space, stop anybody getting onto the carts, and effectively just call that overtime wait to tick down. Instead, invest deep into the backline here. Take the Ana out of the equation. Certainly has. No one can heal all the way back there. Gibson's going to take Carnation out of the fight, and that is it. Very close here for Oye, but Oldenboard just able to find that final couple of millimeters of petrol left in the tank.
Right, and that last coordinated engage was so clean from Oldenboard. They jump in with the nanoed Winston, they throw in the bomb right behind him to make sure they can't just collapse on him and kill him instantly. And then they just follow up with, and the EMP as well, I think, to prevent the escape, really, from the less mobile heroes there, I would say. Just a great job, I think, from Oldenboard in that last point especially. They had some shaky moments. Oh, yeah, we're showing some signs of life for sure. That was our most even map, I would say. But even so, Oldenboard, again, talking about that strategic edge, it looked like on that last point, they had the set plays. They knew exactly what they wanted to do, and they were finally able to execute, and now they're up 2-1.
That's right, we are at match point, so potentially just that one map remaining. But the format is, of course, that now Oye get to make the next map pick. And we saw what happened the last time they had their own map pick. They frankly ran away with Hollywood. Oldenboard didn't really get much of a look in on that one. So if they can make a similarly strong pick here, then they could be taking us all the way into that map 5. And I feel like that's a thing that happens to us pretty much every time, Thibble. We're the ones that get the map 5s.
Yep, we get the 10 map special, and there's no better time to start than on Temple of Anubis. Oh boy, this is going to be chaotic. Just like Hollywood, right? So many options for Ball to just roll around, do crazy stuff. Ken could pull out just about anything he wants, establish some high ground control as Ashe, run around as a Hanzo or an Echo. Like, so many options for but for Oldenboard as well. You know, they were happy to run towards the start of the map. Some Rhine Zarya, some Rhine Diva, stuff like that. That's perfectly feasible on Anubis, I think. I think my big difference maker, though, is going to be Kaya.
Yeah.
So many narrow chokes. Like, this is Junkrat's like classic hometown sort of map, except Junkertown. But we don't care about lore here.
Spiritual
I'm talking strategy.
Spiritual.
Yeah, spiritually, he loves Temple of Anubis. He loves those nice narrow choke points to just hold down, left click, straight through. You're not getting through this with full health. You're not even getting through this with half health. Like, that's going to be the real challenge for Olden Board, because even on maps that are like open, or when you're running like an aerial pick like an Echo, Kaya doesn't care. Kaya will, find the square root of the differential of how far away you are and how explosive you can be, and then you die. So Anubis is that perfect opportunity for him, and I'm very excited to see what he can do on this map.
I'm just had the word through that Olden Board are going to be starting on defense here. It is their prerogative to choose how they start them up. And I do wonder if they would have rather started on the defense and set that tempo, because that is where the Junkrat is most heavily favored, right? Where you can punish lines of entry onto the map. And, for that first choke of Temple of Anubis, that's it. You get above the gate and through the gate. That is the only way into the map. So Junkrat has such an easy time in focusing you down as you come through this. A little bit harder to break, I think. But if anyone can do it on the Junkrat, it's likely to be Kaya.
Right. I mean, I think attack or defense or airborne or deathball or dive, Kaya has not really cared too much. But I agree. I actually think that choice, that side choice, was huge from Olden Board. I think that will allow them to kind of set their own pace, set their own strategy. Whereas if they were attacking first, probably would have been happy to be like, yeah, we're going to set up at that choke point. We're going to full hold you, and we're going to go to map 5. So that could actually be a big difference maker here. I'm curious to see.
It could. And I think the other part of this puzzle, particularly for is what is Ken going to be running, right? Because Ken is a player that, right from when they first showed up playing for I believe a similar kind of one trick team in the States, in the NA region rather than EMEA. It was like the player that stood out, not because they were so much better than everybody else, but because they were the ones that weren't one tricks. Like they weren't a Tracer one trick, they weren't a Hanzo one trick. They actually have a pretty good showing across the board. And I feel like when everything else is kind of set, maybe not in stone, but pretty reliably one way here for actually it can be a little bit confusing to figure out, what can Ken run here? What can Ken add that will really mess up our, tried and tested meta style defense? I think it's very difficult to factor that into the equation.
Right. It's such a weirdly different way to have to strategize. Because you know what most of this team is going to be running, and then there's the one wild card. And you just have to plan for that one guy, because he does get work done. My cat is very curious about how this match is going. I'm sorry. We see Ken starting here on the Tracer, though, of course, they're the attacking team, so that could swap at any time. But if we see that Tracer, look for him to kind of get quickly through the choke point to try and establish some pressure on the sides. Probably on the left side, as we're looking at it right now, where the Sombra is. But he could just as easily, I kind of feel like a Hanzo would do well here. Just kind of even more spam in that opening choke to really throw Olden Board off their game. But Sir Gibson on the Sombra will have the scouting advantage, will know exactly what they're coming out with, and it looks like that Tracer is coming through.
And more importantly, okay, the Tracer is interesting, fine. I'm special out on the Orisa here. I assumed that was just going to be a bait in sport. What is the game plan here with the Orisa?
I mean, it gives you a little more breathing room in the choke, right? Like, Azaria is great, but if you burst through the bubbles, that's it. That barrier being placed at least gives you a couple extra seconds to try and get through the choke unhurt. However, obviously that didn't really work because Pure Irish is there and Caffey is there too, and that's the end of that first fight. As quick as you please. Ball getting a closing pick, but I think that's going to be about it. He's just going to run around in the back and be annoying as he does.
And of course, feeding over ult charge the entire time. And of course, with both supports currently off the table, that's not going to go towards ult charge, which you probably really want it to. But this is a dangerous moment here for Olden Board. They've had to send Starboy back to help bring Teemo back in the fight. And given how the respawns look for it's going to require picks like that from Carfe. Ken out of the fight. Teemo back just in time to deal with the ball. That was a beautiful immortality field there from Snappy. Keeps Carfe alive in the middle of the sleep. The Iris got a Incarnation here, and Again, looking a little bit dodgy there for a second for Oldenburg, but they do bring it back.
Right, and like you mentioned, like that would have been a great opening for Oh Yeah, and then Ken got picked. Cafe just doing Cafe things, and McCree's just doing McCree things to Tracer players. A tale as old as time. I'm Special getting close to the Supercharger, which is something. It's a very powerful ultimate, but it just doesn't look like he's been able to have the impact of getting them through these choke points unharmed that he wanted to get. There have been lots of opening picks.
Oh.
There's another. Like, this is just not getting the job done. If I'm Special, use that right away, exactly, and then swap at the end of this fight. Go back to Zarya.
Nano Boost did come through, and now the Supercharger is online as well as the Amplification Matrix. So a huge amount of damage available to here for Oya, but nowhere really to put it. They didn't have the sight lines they needed, and it's going to be Comfort that finds the pick even without any damaged amplification coming their way. Able to find Ken, and that's it. It stalls out. They use 3 ults in that fight and get absolutely butt kissed for it.
I'm curious to see. It doesn't look like Ken's going to swap, but I'm Special, I think, really should. I think he used it so he could swap. Cool Boy using the sound barrier is rough. You have a minute 30 left. Yeah, there we go. I'm Special onto the Zarya, but Ball is caught out. He's about to go down. There he goes. This is disastrous for Oh Yeah. This is what they wanted to do probably to Oldenburg, but that side swap, remember, so crucial here. Let's Oldenburg establish the pace, and now it's them saying, we are going to full hold you. Of course, now I've just caster cursed them, but we'll see how that goes. Kaya with the Riptire coming out, but the EMP comes out, and Ball is already gone.
Okay, that's a 1-for-1 trade. Ball and Starboy both back to spawn here. Ult's now available for Oldenburg. They will have that high noon ready, and Carfe in great position, ready to use it. Oh yeah, having lost Kaya, back out for now. They're ready to make that reapproach, and they've only got the minefield here to work with. So Ball's got to find a characteristically big use of that ultimate, but he's being jived, and Starboy finds the pick, snap with the Amplification Matrix and the Immortality Field. All tech out of the Baptiste for now to keep the team alive. Items available for Carthy. Sees a nice angle through onto Kaya, lands the flashbang, but can't quite get the final bit of damage in. And Kaya starts to put a bit of a crack in the dam here now that Carthy is off the table. No more ults available, still a minefield in play. Out it comes. Tiba with a run through takes a huge amount of damage. And we'll find it a little bit tricky to get back onto point now. Stairs are locked up. I believe we're going to see them wait just a little while here to then get a full regroup in. One tick given over already. So Gibson down, and that might be what does it here. Timo is trying to keep this alive. There's only so much you can do. Reinhardt's a big target. He takes a lot of damage.
Right, and in those longer fights, right, that is where Oh Yeah consistently have started to show up. When they can split things up, when they can get that opening pick, when Ball doesn't die in the first 5 seconds of the fight, like, that is when Oh Yeah really butters their bread. And now they're coming into the second point. They have a couple ultimates, especially including the Grab Dragon. And I believe, yeah, Kathy's got the quick respawn still, so that's not like a snowball opportunity. But still, like, Oh Yeah seem to have found their rhythm after a very rough opening few fights. Like, a lot of fights. So, good for them now. Here comes the Dragon. Solo gets the Sonic Arrow kill onto Kathy, and the grab comes through. Sound barrier counters.
Nano Boost onto I'm Special. Mid-charge, 50% and less, but increased drastically by the presence of the Nano Boost. But it seems like the rest of Oh Yeah are a little bit slow to join I'm Special. Pops the personal to survive through the self-destructs, and we'll find a kill onto Starboy here. So good use of momentum now from Oh Yeah. They've almost got the Amplification Matrix. In fact, they now have it online. They just need to clear the point, and they're putting in a pretty good position to stop the recontest coming through. That's it, it's through. We are almost at 2 ticks for Oh Yeah, and the respawns for Oldenburg coming through as they are probably not going to be picking them here, because the second somebody tags on to the point, Oh Yeah takes them back down again.
Big EMP.
They're going to find one care of the EMP, a little bit of an assist there from Sir Gibson, but I'm Special is so charged, so deadly, so powerful, so close to that Graviton Surge. It is out again, and Timo on the ball to stall is down. Lucas comes out from Sir Gibson, but a lot of threats in their way. Goes into the back to try and take out a support, but all reticles focus on Sir Gibson, and he's out of the fight. Oldenburg doing a great job to burn time off the clock here, but it is ultimately a hiding to nothing. They don't have any more ultimates. They don't have anybody on the point, and Ken is right up in Snapper's face, takes them out again. Will eventually fall to Sir Gibson. Kaya now with the tire, looking for target. finds Sir Gibson, even though they've taken the Ana out of the equation here. This has been phenomenally good from Olden Board. They do not want to let this die. We're now down into the final minute, and that's where it's going to stop.
And getting it under a minute is honestly pretty clutch from Olden Board in a fight that, looked to be in control of pretty much from the start. That was just all stall coming out. Gibson swapping over onto the Doomfist, getting a couple picks. Some great work from the healers to keep your Irish alive for a good long while. But built all their ults twice over the course of that fight. They opened with Grav and Dragon, and they finished with Grav and Dragon. Like, that was drawn out, but they were chugging along. So great job from there after a very rough first point to start. Like, if they had brought that second point energy to first point, they would have 4:58 on the clock instead of just 58 seconds. Now Olden Board get a chance to counter. They had a great strategy for that first point until they got picked apart a little bit there at the end. So let's see if their attack can be as robust as their initial defense was.
I feel like it's maybe a little bit simplistic to put all of that lack of energy on the point A offense on the head of I'm Special, particularly because it's the guy's birthday. We don't want to rag on him too hard. Sure. Like, a long time running the Orisa and looking at it and going, well, yeah, you survive a little bit longer, you can get through the choke, but what else does the Orisa bring? And I just don't think it was doing enough. We know that I'm Special is specifically a Zarya specialist, and if you watch how quick those grabs get charged and how high the average energy is here, like, there's a reason, I think, why that started to work out.
Right. And you would almost expect, like, if they were ever going to niche pick an Orisa, you would expect it on the defense, but I don't think they're really interested in experimenting too much. They want to try and force a map 5, and it's really now or never. So establishing some control on the high ground here, but just also happy to kind of back up. Like, we want to take some space, but not so much. We're not silly.
The pincer movement comes in, and Kaya is just knocked for a loop. Enough damage was done there, however, to allow Ken to get in and take Timo out of the fight. So Gibson managed to hack. I think was looking to find Ball there, but instead connects with I'm Special, who looks like they may just survive that one. Timo coming back in from spawn. Pure Irish still in the fight, and really does not want to be going toe-to-toe with I'm Special. Nothing you can do to mitigate that damage. Big power driver comes through here from Ball, but still see a couple of kills come the way of Olden Board. Cafe find Ken. Snape still up and just chunking away. Trying to keep Timo in this fight means they're going to have...
Oh, no.
No, you ain't going to heal that one, I'm afraid. Rez will come through, but Calfe is now down. That's got to be the reset here for Olden Board.
Right, they had some trades, and you think, well, they're the attacking team, the spawn advantage is big, maybe they can make something happen, but it was too back and forth, too many people lost, and too long of a fight for Olden Board to really capitalize on maybe what was an initial spawn advantage. Sir Gibson trying to just apply some pressure in the backline, force to just look at the point, but with Cool Boy there on the high ground all the way in the back, that's a one-way ticket to Sleep Town, so he's gonna, take it a little easy and let Bob engage onto the point instead. And a Nano Winston too.
Nice dive in from Timo. Carnation just used the amplification matrix for their own purpose there. Now means that ult has no longer got any value. Nobody can make use of it. And Olden Board just come in, they bring out the brooms, and they sweep Boyel.
And that was so clean. That's exactly the way Olden Board want to be fighting this. Just like we saw at the end of Gibraltar, right? Those coordinated nano dives. Snappy dropping it right onto Timo. And look at the ults here. Olden Board now, they've got an EMP soon, a Primal Rage soon, a Self-Destruct soon, and the Valkyrie. I have a couple. The Riptire, of course. Never sleep on it. And the Minefield and the Grav. But this is anyone's game. That EMP could do a lot of work.
Okay, I like this from Sir Gibson. Straight into the back, takes Kaya out of the fight, but the Riptide is coming for him. What a juke with the teleporter as well.
That was great.
Nothing out of that one. Now down a man in the fight, and Starboy starts things off here with the Valkyrie. Nice charge in on the back of the EMP. They now know that I'm Special will have that Graviton Surge ready to go. Of course, the EMP won't stop Ball from dropping the mines over the point. Snape's down to the mine, to the track. Irish able to equalize things here, takes Carnation and Carnation's immortality build out of the fight. I don't know that Olden Board have done enough here to secure their place at the point. So Gibson getting Kaya is good. Cool Boy down as well. Pure Irish and Timo keeping this alive for now. They haven't got that first tick just yet. Very good job here being done by Oye, just tangoing on and off the point to keep it alive. So Gibson gets Ball, but I think that's got to be it.
Yeah, I mean, much like their first point attack, some great trades there, but now the spawn advantage is vastly in Aya's favor. If you're not winning a fight cleanly on second point Anubis, you're not winning the fight. So Oldenborg know that as soon as they start dying out, off they go. They're close to another nano already, which is great, but not much else to work with. Maybe that EMP in a long fight, but if I'm them, this is time for eco push again. Get that grav out, get that pulse bomb, hopefully that amplification matrix too, as much as you can. There's the pulse bomb, there goes Snappy. And for Oldenborg, what are you going to expect, right? There's an ult disadvantage here, they have a spawn disadvantage here. Let's just get what we can and not stagger this out too long. We have a great time bank, we can use it, we just have to play smart.
Of course, eco pushes are all well and good, but it will, of course, allow Oye to get a little more on the table. Also, Kaya now has that Riptire ready for the next fight, and we know how much value they can find with those. And Ken's able to find Snappy straight away at the start of the fight, just as the respawn had come in and the team was all grouped up and ready to go again. All with a nice big power drive and letting them 10% ult charge. The Gibson's going to fall to Ken, and that's Oldenborg corralled firmly back into spawn.
Yeah, so that eco push did not go well. They wanted to pull out some things, and instead, have more than what they started with. No grav pulled out, just the pulse bomb. Ken's already 75% back. Oldenborg, I mean, to their credit, they were fighting through that, and now they are much closer to their Deadeye, their self-destruct, etc. But with just a nano and an EMP, this is not the fight for them. Again, they need to keep trying to pull out some ultimates. And here comes a Riptire, sure. Ooh, and an EMP as well. Interesting.
It's 2 for 2. It is going to favor the defense, though. Snapper and Cafe back in very quickly here. So Gibson has a high ground position here. Will at least help them start to get a little more ult charge on the table. But Teemo's down. Pure Irish is out of mech and out of luck and back to spawn. And that's going to put us down at 1 minute 40. Less than 2 minutes on the clock here for Oldenborg.
Just way too much tank pressure from for Oldenborg's kind of style to really work on a point like this. I'm special swapping to the Diva, probably trying to mitigate the upcoming Deadeye a little bit, which could be pretty deadly if you get it in the right way. Ken with the pulse bomb as well. This is even in terms of ults, I would say. Maybe an advantage for Oldenborg, especially with that opening pick onto Kaya, who has been super deadly this entire time. But they gotta move fast. They gotta go.
They gotta go. The tank's gotta get in. Buy some space for Carpet to get something done here with the Deadeye, even if it is just forcing some of off point. They've somehow snuck in another 60% captured here. They're at 88.5 as Carpet takes the right-hand side here. Self-destruct comes through, but Pure Irish doesn't find anything with that self-destruct except the loss of their own life here. We're now down below a minute. Oldenborg looked so good on that push, but it just fizzled out about the halfway mark.
Right, and remember, if you're not winning a fight cleanly, you're not winning this fight. They know that. They have 30 seconds left. They have the EMP and the Deadeye. They're coming up on their support ultimates, and have nothing. I'm Special isn't even in mech right now. It's going to be another 5 or 10 seconds before he jumps back at the best. So this is a great window for Oldenborg, and they need to make something happen. They had a great time bank, but now they have almost nothing. And it's now or never, or we're going to map 5.
It's going to be an OT cap for the draw at best here for Oldenborg. They've got 10 seconds. Kaya's nearly, in fact, just at that Riptire. Happy to wait, happy to stop them coming on through. The Riptire comes out, finds the D-Mech onto Pure Irish. We're now into overtime, and Ken's able to take Pure Irish completely out of the fight. Starboy now with the rally, going toe-to-toe with Kaya and coming up top strokes. Down. And Special making use of the sleep and of the amplification matrix, and that's got to be it here for Oldenborg. Managed to fight off the draw, and we're going to a map 5 here almost certainly, because Pure Irish is not surviving long on the Wrecking Ball, and we're all tied up here after 4 maps.
It wouldn't be you and me casting if we didn't go to map 5, so I really should have expected this. Oldenborg looked like there were a couple moments there where they looked like they had all the tools they were gonna need, but they had great disengages, I think, really mitigating the value of like the EMPs from Sir Gibson, and Caffey was really just kind of like at a loss for what to do with that Deadeye, I felt, for like a long time. So while they might have had the tools, they were never able to use them the way they wanted to. And happy to force that kind of off-kilter engage, happy to have the chaotic team fight on point. And with a spawn advantage like Anubis's, we're going to map 5. There's no other way around it.
That's right. One more map of the Overwatch circus that is any match that involves one of our one-trick teams. We're going to throw it to a little break. We'll be back in a few minutes for the final of the action. One more ride here for Oh Yeah versus Old and Bored. And honestly, I wouldn't know how to predict how this could go. This has been such a back and forth series, right? It seems like every time Old and Bored look like they've got a handle on Oh Yeah just kind of flip the script and find a way to shut down what Old and Bored are trying to do. So we are going to that one fighter map to figure out who is going to win this one.
I will say, at least we have some precedence in this game mode. Old and Bored pretty convincingly 2-0'd over on Lijiang. So it could be that, you know, maybe it was just Lijiang itself, but it could also just be the dynamic of control that allows Old and Bored to run that death ball style that we saw, that Rhine Diva just clumped together on the point, make Oh Yeah come to them. Like, if they can pull that off again, I see no reason why they couldn't walk away with it.
Yeah.
That's just a really big if with a team like Oh Yeah. They love to say, yeah, your strategy is great, but it's us. This is what we do. So we're going to Busan for this next one, which is interesting. I think this will actually really depend on which sub maps we get, right? Yeah. Like, I think Sanctuary would do really well for Oh Yeah's style. It's a much more open field. But if we start with like Mecha Base, ooh, that's a really like control the choke points, control the point style, death ball-y sort of composition. So yeah, it's really going to depend on the roll of the dice. Excuse me. God,
and I feel like Downtown is another map that really kind of favors because you've got so much open space and you've got so much high ground to low ground transition for Ball to play around and get good run throughs and find big impactful power drivers. And you know, it's looking like the deck may be a little bit stacked in the favor of when you look at the balance of available maps.
Yeah, you would think that, but at the I'll counter. I think for every high ground, low ground transition or whatever that a Ball could take advantage of, so could a Sombra. So many good angles there for a hack or an EMP, and you know, Sir Gibson has been hit or miss, frankly, with some of these EMPs, but I think he's been heating up. I think his Anubis was really good. It's just a matter of if the rest of his team can capitalize on that, or if will be too good, assuming we even get to downtown, at disrupting. And what the heck is going on in there? I can't see through that door, but they're spinning something.
Yeah, it looks like it's one of the training chairs at the back for the
probably really expensive military hardware. You guys should not be doing that. But hey, they don't care. This is a video game. We got Sir Gibson on the Sombra again, and we have this death ball. They want to move fast, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Okay, big in the open here. Kaiser comes in on the Torbjorn this time, and obviously brings a few different things to the table to the Junkrat, survivability being key among them. And make a big long rotation out of the way of Oldenborg. It's Oldenborg on the chase here, but they've got substantially more point presence and sustain, so they don't mind playing on the point for now. They actually get out of the way of the power driver, so nothing really done there for Ball, who will receive the hack for his troubles. Kaiser takes a lot of damage and ultimately has to duck down the fireman's exit there. Cafe finds the first pick. Carnation's down, Gears comes down as well. And Cafe starts to fly, finds a quick double here. Huge advantage now for Oldenborg. They've got the numbers to really round this one out. First cap will come through for though. So even if they lose this one overall, they will at least get some point presence. And Sir Gibson sees Ken highlighted through the walls, care of the Sombra passive, and removes him from the game.
7% is 7%. But that was such a long game of ring around the rosy, right? Like each team trying to figure out like where are we going to be able to engage, when are we going to be able to get a pick, and started out with one and did start out with the point presence, but Cathay immediately answering back, and now Oldenborg happy this is their element, right? Happy to sit here and just kind of sit on the point or near the point or at the choke and say figure us out or else. Coming in with a minefield.
Matrix bought them a bit of time here, but now that that's down, are much happier to aggress into and around the choke. Cafe holds onto the high ground here, which is going to be key to making this high noon find value. Application Matrix out from Carnation, Immortality Field out from Snape. Carnation that finds the first pick. Cafe with a roll through, dodges the pulse bomb, has to pull the trigger quickly on the high noon or else face a lot of incoming damage when they can't really get their way out of it. Yes, that is Molten Core. It's not Snot, despite what it may look like here coming out from Kaiser. Special Ball able to find a couple of kills here. Cafe and Timo down. The turret makes a bid for MVP and deals with Pure Irish, and it's starting to add to that 7%.
That's interesting because one, I kind of want to call out Sir Gibson there. You're getting caught out twice there, bud. You need to be not doing that, I guess. But also, seem to have almost found an answer to that, like, we're just going to stick on the point. Like, okay, we're going to smoke you out. We're going to throw a Molten Core out, and you're not going to be able to sit on the point anymore. And then you get separated, and then we kind of pick you off. Carnation with a great opening pick as well. He gets hacked now. The turret goes down, but I don't know. I feel like Oldenborg needs to be a little more decisive and a little less caught out.
Well, make themselves scarce, and Oldenborg get effectively a free cat here. So Gibson will actually find the hack onto Ken, but Ken able to track in a lot of damage. Forces Gibson to recall out. Carpers over one Kaiser here though, and will come into possession of yet another dead high. Special being pocketed here pretty much by Carnation. Amplification Matrix makes it too risky. Anybody to try and push into I'm Special. Pure Irish gets demeched and dealt with. And it looks like we might actually see a recap come in through here. EMP comes out, and it's only going to find I'm Special. Not the impactful EMP that we were looking for here. And so Gibson traded out as a result of that. Minefield comes online, and Ball was able to find Starboy here, so it's a flip at 90% for Oldenborg.
But that was a really expensive trade, and frankly, not a bad move from Gibson. You might think, that EMP didn't get anything. They still lost the fight. But half of I'm Special's health went away in an instant. So Coolboy dropped the nano boost right away. Ball, came back onto the point and said, okay, we need to actually establish ourselves here. We can't just send I'm Special and drop the minefield. That was an expensive trade.
think there was just a little burst of healing going on to the target there for the High Noon, ultimately resulting in no kill, just a lot of damage coming through. Won't stop Cafe finding the kill onto Cool Boy, but it's already, oh yeah, climbing up the charts here, looking for that number 1 in eliminations. Pure Irish is going to find Ball. It's a 99% here for Olden Board, but oh yeah, have the numbers. So there's one more bite of the cherry here for Olden Board.
At least one, maybe even 2 if you're quick about it. But Olden Board coming online with some tools here. In a longer fight, they'll have both of their support ultimates in the EMP for sure. Whereas, oh yeah, only have the Pulse Bomb. They'll get the Amp Matrix pretty quick as well, so that's a potential opening. But easy to disengage from those, assuming they aren't caught out, right? Ken looking for that stray gazelle again, and Ball happy to hang out in the backline and look for something, but immediately hacked.
Yeah, it's a rough time to be a Wrecking Ball player. Hacks and stuns, etc. Both Immortality Fields now down, and Carnation sniped out of the air from Starboy. The flip comes through, however. Olden Board now back in control of the point. Cafe takes Ken out of this. Both teams only ever just tagging a toe onto the point to keep it contested. Don't want to engage fully. Or yeah, start to move through. And the trap is flung wide open. The EMP comes out, and that's I'm Special out of the longer fight. We'll see the Molten Core come in now from Kaiser. Of course, that's why we're not seeing the drink credits Kaiser rather than Kaya. It's just the names are so similar. Right. We didn't really clock that, or I didn't really clock that. Pure Irish himself to stroke kills with Schoolboy, and that is it, nice and quick. The kills come through, and Olden Board come out swinging on Mecha Base. One more submap separates them and a win here over Oh Yeah.
And Oh Yeah kept it close. Like, that was not the same sort of showing we saw from them on Lijiang. Like that, they looked like they had strategic answers to how to handle Olden Board's composition and their sort of style. I think Kaiser coming in is also an interesting wrinkle. The Torb definitely keeps Olden Board's DPS honest. It's very hard to sit in the background and just hack away when you have a turret that instantly locks onto you, which is totally fair. Haha. But in general, like, signs of life, right? Very close there. And now we're on Sanctuary, which I was talking about earlier. Lots of open lines, plenty of long sight lines here. One for Kaiser to set up that turret, actually, which is an interesting thing, but also for Ball to just run rampant, go totally crazy.
Well, Ball's already in the back line, has to know that Sir Gibson is somewhere here on the Sombra. In fact, I'm assuming this is just information gathering here from Ball in the first instance. Ken has the Mercy Pocket here, so a lot of damage potential now from the Soldier, and quite a long range of play. Not to mention the burst damage that comes in from the Helix Rocket, so I think this is a smart pick from Ken. Both teams being a little bit slow to engage. Kaiser pops the Overload, surges forward, but meets nothing but a shield wall here from Teemo, struggling to get much in with the primary fire. It's going to be Ball going toe-to-toe with Sir Gibson. Their natural enemy gets the run-through, knew exactly where that TV was coming through. You see the D-Mech here as well, so Pure Irish momentarily not in a great position to contribute to the fight in a meaningful way. Teemo very low. Ball even lower though, and Cafe finds the pick just as the Amp Matrix comes through, and that might have been what saves Olden Board in this fight. Beautifully timed out here from Snappy.
Yeah, that was a great Amp Matrix. Extra healing to make sure that Teemo didn't go down, and extra damage for Cafe to make sure that Ball just melted, absolutely melted. And now Cafe cleaning up and doing things that McCree's like to do. And okay. Well, you know,
keep the thighs warmed up.
Ken's still alive, right? So you have to crouch and make sure that he can't hit you. It's a completely understood tactical crouch, very classic strategy. Definitely nothing else going on there. Olden Board not a lot to work with them. The Deadeye comes out right away, just trying to push for some zoning here. And does get Ken. Ken got hacked out there. That was actually a really smart kind of combo play. And now with the sound barrier, they have plenty of tools to sustain, but Oh Yeah have a couple that they want to start working with. And a couple that they're close to as well.
Yeah, Ken not quite quick enough there with the legs turned off. Left them in the line of sight of the High Noon. And Oh Yeah, just go all in one more time with the space control ults. We got the Minefield, we got the Molten Core, we got a heck of a lot of damage coming into Olden Board. Snapface happy to take a back angle here, but it's not going to be enough. Starboy and Teemo both down. Pure Irish out of mech, out of luck, back to spawn, and Oh Yeah throw almost everything they have at that one, but it will secure the flip for them.
Yeah, that almost looked like they spent way too much. They kind of just threw everything, and I'm like, "Whoa, hang on, guys! You're not actually getting anything out of this." But in a longer fight, right, the shields start cracking, Olden boards start backing up. They're not quite sure what to do, and all that damage heaped on top of itself is more than enough to win that fight. Now they have the Grav and the Valkyrie, which isn't a ton, but Oldenboard, not much to work with either. The tank ult and the EMP, you almost wonder if they're just going to throw that EMP right away, which they do.
That was clearly planned. They had to know that I'm Special had the Graviton Surge ready, and the EMP just takes I'm Special out of the fight. It's also the only way they have to mitigate the damage coming in from the self-destruct, which means that Kaiser is down to pure Irish, and Oldenboard are going to swing back on point. Schoolboy's able to bring Kaiser back in, so a little bit more survivability, a little more damage, and the flip comes in. Oldenboard get just enough elbow room on the point to secure a little more percentage, and as the fight starts to pay out, they are going to start to win this one out. Sure, they're going to lose pure Irish, but they're at 94%. If they can get this to 99, they need to win one more fight, and they may not even need to worry about that. There is nobody left here. Oh yeah, that's the shutout on Control. Old and Board win the series 3-2.
And just a clean understanding again of their win conditions for Olden Board there, right? Yeah, okay. Aya just used everything except the Graviton. So who do we focus? The Zarya. Yeah. Whose health is reduced in half the moment Sombra presses Q? The Zarya. That was a great combo from them, a great understanding of just like, hey, there's just one thing we really need to do here to start to turn this fight hugely in our favor. And they nailed it perfectly. Their executions on these set plays are really what separated Olden Board, even in a series, as close as this.
Well, we have one more bit of this particular match to bring your way, and that is, of course, an interview with the player from the winning team. So we're going to line that up, and we'll be back with you in just a few minutes. Welcome back, everybody, and we are joined today by Snappy from Olden Board. So, Snappy, congratulations on the win. How are you feeling after that?
Cheers, man. Feeling pretty good. It was a best of 5 series, and winning those is always the best.
Yeah, it's definitely a close one through and through. What was kind of the discussion going on over the course of this series? As Aya, a lot of us might think of them as kind of like that one-trick team, like Clockwork Vendetta-esque, but they were throwing some haymakers at you. So what was that like? Discussing strategy and counterpoints against them and stuff like that. How did that discussion go?
We prepared for the game pretty well. We scouted the comps a bit, and their comp isn't as strong as like the previous iterations of Avoided. Like there's no Yasan Barash in your backline every fight. So I was like very confident. But map 2 and map 3, it was Gaia nightmare. Like this man kept one-shotting me, so I was just screaming, I don't even know. This guy is going to my dreams. And by map 5, we're a strong brawl team. We knew we could play brawl again, and easy clapper.
Okay, so that puts you at 2 matches down in a 7-match round robin. And we're looking at the rest of Contenders Trials EMA and thinking there are some frighteningly strong teams. Like, in your bracket, you have what is effectively an Overwatch League team in Fusion University. How are you feeling about your chances?
I think the chances to go to Contenders as well. I told my team before this week that we can go anywhere from 1 to 7. Like, it's all about mental. We got like cracked out mechanics. So yeah, tomorrow's game is versus Funi. It's going to be exciting playing against like players I respect. We just gotta see.
For sure. I think that's a great strategy to have, right? Like, yeah, you could end up with any number of wins, but it's all about how you approach it mentally. I think that's a great attitude to hold.
So, Snappy, you've not really been with Olden Board all that long, I think. How were you enticed onto the team in the first place?
Well, to be honest, I was off the grid for a while for personal reasons, and I didn't really receive any other offers. So when Olden Board asked me, I think it was like late March, I said why not, and joined them, and process has been really nice. It's been really good.
Solid. Hey, well, at least you found a home. It looks like you're fitting in really well. You were clutching it out and just consistently showing up, which is all you need to do. So, GG.
Cool. Well, Snappy, I think that about does it from us. We're going to let you return to your team and celebrate the win. Before we let you go, anything you'd like to say or anybody you'd like to give a shout out to?
I guess since this is my first interview back, shout out LH Cloudy. He's the homie.
Yeah. I like the Finnish solidarity.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you again for joining us, Snappy. That is going to be the end of the first half of the broadcast, but you heard us talk about Fusion University just then, and you are about to get the chance to see them live in action when they play Raspberry Racers after the break. Welcome back, everybody. And, we're kind of obligated to say this because we're here selling you an entertainment package, but this should be a phenomenally good match. If you want to see some Overwatch League players kind of smurfing down here in Trials, well, have we got an offer for you? Because we are ready to see Fusion University going up against Raspberry Racers. Thibbo, why don't you break it down for the nice people at home?
Sure. Fusion Uni, very good team. Play Overwatch real good. Click the head, press Q, press W, etc. No, I mean, there's so much more to this matchup, frankly, than that, right? Like, we could go all day about Fusion University and the stacked roster and how they really shouldn't be here, and, like, this is unfair and everything. But Raspberry Racers are not a bad team, and Fusion University have not looked like some unstoppable juggernaut, right? Like, they've had breaks in their armor. Their match yesterday was a 3-1. It was not like this, horrible stomp, like this is just how it's gonna be. Like, this is, there's some dynamics here to look at. And I think if any team is going to give them a run for their money, it might be Raspberry Racers, who have a very strong coaching staff, a very strong like synergy and strategy that they like to employ. So we talk about this being a thinking man's game. This is going to be one of those chess matches, I think, that could really go the distance. This is not just like Fusion Uni 3-0. There's nothing more to discuss. There's a lot here, and I love that because it really speaks to the depth of the scene and of the quality of EMEA and its players, that you have a team that is 100% an Overwatch League roster, right? Yeah. Like, these are literally players who are on an Overwatch League team who just couldn't make it because of visa issues, because COVID and all this other stuff. And they grabbed a few extra players to form out 6 and said, just go practice. Just make sure you don't get rusty. Yeah. Right. And there are still teams here that will take a map off of them, that will make things close. Like, that's amazing. So I'm very excited to see this matchup go.
Yeah, and I think one of the interesting things to talk about, as nice as cool as it is to talk about the fact that we're casting Overwatch League players, is Sugar Free's back. Sugar Free is here, not currently playing under the moniker Sugar Free, but somebody we thought had left the scene for good, forever focusing on new things. And in fairness to Sugar Free, on their Twitter saying, "Hey, this is a stopgap thing. I'm just here to help." But cool to see them back. And you got to feel a little bit for some of the other teams in Trials that have made their way up to OD, fought through it, and then gone, yes, we're in with a chance, and then boom,
but
University.
Yeah, we're in with a chance, but Sugar Free playing as Gialli, currently showing the Doomfist. Fusion Uni, of course, could run just about anything they wanted, I'm sure. But Raspberry Racers, let's look at this, right? You got Tools, who had recently retired, I believe, or has been retired.
Not even recently,
yeah. No, yeah, it was a while ago, actually, who's come back. You've got Slay and Gustav on the support line, which I think is great, and Lethal. Keep an eye on Lethal. I have so much respect for him as a player. It's mechanically insane. We are already getting into the thick.
Ooh, and it's going to be Jake found the first pick. That's going to be Cloud out of the fight. Jolly down to low HP and out of the fight now. It's going to be Tools back for time and straight back in the utility. Taking care of Jolly here. And it's looking like, well, Kelsapri's Fusion University coming up top trumps in this first fight. Shockwave looking to get that final bit of damage in onto the DMAC Tools. Raspberry Racers may have been a little bit slow off the mark getting out of this. Wow, good reaction there from Shockwave. Saw the amplification matrix. No, they didn't want it to get picked here. And so out comes the shield. And with the safety of the shield and the amplification matrix from Boombox, they win out that fight.
And Sim's ult is honestly such a great counter to, as Jakaru just goes off the map, just a great counter to Amplification Matrix in general. Like, completely mitigates that ultimate if you use it right, and it looks like Fusion Uni are just going to be running up and yesterday they were touching spawn doors. I kind of want to see more of that, because that's my favorite thing to ever happen in an Overwatch game. We were getting close. We're not quite there yet. I think Fusion Uni still wants to give a little respect until they figure out how much wiggle room they really have to work with. A couple ultimates coming online here. The Flux coming out already from Poco. And it gets 2. That's looking pretty big, but the Immortality Code is also there.
Okay, that's going to be a big shadow on the wall now out from Lethal this time, but Raspberry Racer's already down in numbers, but starting to punch back a little ways here. They've lost Cloud, they've lost Doge. That is the 2 big prongs of damage that they had out of the fight, but Slay and Lethal more than ready to pick up the slack here. Starting to push Fusion Uni off the point and looking like they might get a cap here. In comes Funny Astro, tags back in, buys a little percentage, and that is them out again.
That's a great little teleporter spot. The Telly is in cover there behind the stairs, but of course the other end can just as easily come under attack as Cloud starts to open up with this Riptire.
Ooh, and it's going to find 1. Doge able to find Shockwave here. Nice aggressive posturing from Raspberry Racers, and Cloud really putting the icing on the cake there.
Yeah, I mean, a great job from Raspberry Racers not to get scared, not to like break, it's like, oh no, it's Fusion Uni, these guys are so good. It's like, no, these are still winnable fights. This is just another team. We can flip that switch too. The sound barrier pretty clutch there, and the Riptire obviously getting tons of value. Raspberry Racers happy to commit, but Gialli does Gialli things.
Well, that was a nice interrupt there on the minefield, but Gialli does not lose a beat. Rolls back into the fight and finds Gustav here on the way to the Mega Health Pack, and Fusion Uni coming, looking clean here. Tools blasted off the map.
Yeah, we haven't really followed Funny Astro too much, but I think just about every fight he's knocked someone off the map, which I imagine is like a goal that he set for himself. He's like, all right, I'm in trials. I want to challenge myself. I'm going to get an environmental kill every fight. That's my goal. But Gustav, happy to answer back. And then the wall, the immediate recontest here coming in from Raspberry Racers. Again, I respect the lack of fear. They're so willing to just jump right back in it, and they're getting results. They flip the point.
Yes, Raspberry Racers making this close. It may be at 98 to 45, but they come back in with confidence. J. Karu's Shatter found nothing there, but hey, Poco is still in this. He's got, I guess that's 1 HP from looking at the bar. Committed. Gravitic Flux. We get the sound barrier coming in from Funny Astro, blocked with the shield, and J. Karu stops Doge able to find anything there with that Shatter. Tools able to find Boombox, and Charlie's away in the back, and that is a difficult fight to take. A lot of HP on a Diva compared to a Doomfist. Fusion Uni maybe coming out of this one on top though. Lethal's made the swap over onto the Doomfist of their own, but Funny Astro's taking Tools out of the fight. Lethal is in the back and finding Shockwave, but Funny Astro with the sound wave takes Lethal out of the fight one more time. Cloud will have the tire here, but the flip comes through. Need to get that contest going, but they're going to cook the tire. Makes it round the side, and it's all in the shield. Pogo survives that one. 99 to 82. Gustav has the sound barrier. A beautiful boot mops him to the far side of the wall. I don't know if that actually connected with anybody necessary. It found Lethal and Cloud, but it needed to keep Doge alive, and Doge is now down. We're going to find Poco, but Streams University knocked Raspberry Racers off the point, and there's the first cap.
Right, so pretty back and forth there the entire way through. We talk about Raspberry Racers being willing to get back in there. They're not playing scared. They're not playing on the back foot here. They're playing it like just any other game, as Tools got the fadeaway 3K in garbage time. But Fusion Uni are playing about as we expected them to play. Super clean, Funny Astro getting in there. Poco, I almost wonder if he needed that flux to prevent falling off the edge. I didn't see it at all, but that could have been a thing, right? Because Gustav was going for boops too, and that's really the only way you can get out of that as a Sigma. So I'll reserve judgment because I just didn't see it. Now we're seeing some changes though, right? Fusion Uni going onto a Tracer Pharah dive. With Boombox on the Ana here. So plenty of throughput healing and lots of damage potential here from Gialli. He, a quick history lesson for you because we're already in the fight. This guy has played pretty much every hero you could imagine and has destroyed. He's very young, which is why he's not in the Overwatch League. He retired long ago, but will frequently come in just to be a ringer, just like to play for fun, and he always shows up. Of course, I've cursed him horribly, and Tools gets the opening pick, and Fusion Uni now are on the back foot.
Yeah, Jikaru down as well here. I just feel like Raspberry Racers had the better composition out of the gates. The Pharah into the McCree is very seldom going to go the way of the Pharah, and Raspberry Racers, even with Jikaru race back into the fight, are going to be taking the first cap.
Yeah, so the opening pick there for Raspberry Racers, just what they need. Lethal now happy to extend
Nice.
that fight lead with that opening pick on the Funny Astro. Funny Astro maybe getting a little caught out, maybe trying to get the team moving, but not to be. Now Doge here with the minefield, plenty of zoning there. Let's see when he decides to use it. Right there, splits the team in half. And Slay already, though, using the Transcendence. I was going to point out that they should probably try and save it, but hey, if the pressure's there, makes sense to use it, then go for it.
The stick from Cloud. Beautiful work from the DPS players here on the Raspberry Racers. That's Boombox down. Funny Astro is going to commit the Valkyrie here, but feels like there's a lost fight already. A Slay gets the double in the primary fire. And Fusion Uni, as Raspberry Racers hit the 50% mark, currently not in this fight.
No, and an expensive fight, I would say, from Raspberry Racers, right? They commit the minefield, the pole spawn, pole support ultimates. Fusion Uni just used the Nano and the Valkyrie, so they also don't have any. At least the Raspberry do have a support ult advantage, but the DPS ults here from Fusion Uni could be pretty big. That pole bomb doesn't get much. Oh, okay, never mind. Wow, I extra cursed that one. No value at all, and Raspberry Racers looking comfortable here. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, oh, Doge with the 3K. Look at the variety of icons on display here for Doge in the kill feed. One of each, just missing the environmental kill here, but very strong showing here from Raspberry Racers. Fusion Uni scrabbling to make some adaptations, but this is 80% on the board here for Raspberry Racers. Fusion Uni look like they may not be taking this one unless somebody can come up with a big couple of kills in the next few seconds.
Right, and I feel like Fusion Uni maybe open that. We're just like, let's play something fun, you know, let's play the Pharah, let's see what we can do. And then that totally didn't work. And the Echo obviously not getting any more value there with Lethal having the Deadeye just open season. And now we're in overtime. The opening pick on the Gustav is big, but let's see. I'm not convinced yet. Oh,
okay, well, look, there we go. Between the Biota Grenade and the swinging arms of the Winston, Fusion University starts to get a toehold onto the point. There's the D-Mech onto tools, and it got them to 99% before Raspberry Racers were knocked off. It cost Fusion Uni pretty much everything they had, but they are now starting to accrue some capture.
Right, and they're at a significant ult disadvantage, but I think Fusion Uni can make this happen, right? They need to nano someone intelligently, please. Don't just like throw it on the Electric Cowboy. I would probably give it to Jkaru personally. Yeah. But Raspberry Racers, like, does Fusion Uni like go for an ego push here, or do they try and like ego challenge it out, right? Like, we don't need no stinking ult advantage to win this fight. But Raspberry Racers happy to contest with lots of ults.
That's a big minefield, and Boombox is down already. Did actually get the Nano Boost off here, and Doge almost manages to send Charlie off the side. Doesn't matter, they didn't go off the side. The damage has been done. Beautiful chase work coming in from Tools, who will have the self-destruct, but little to no need to use it here. Fusion Uni still in control for now, but it's 99 as the flip comes through. They may get somebody on here, but Tools is ready to try and knock off anybody that comes through. Shockwave tags on. Will keep the contest going, but it's already going to be a 5v6, and it is slow going here for Fusion Uni, trying to get back on points. Eagle pulls the trigger on the Deadeye, does the damage, doesn't find the kills, and it is clean up setting down for the Raspberry Racers.
That was great from Raspberry there. The entire time they were on the point, they maintained their ult advantage, they used their economy well, they forced out really good trades from Fusion University that whole way through. And, you know, you can always kind of make the excuse when you see like high-level teams, you know, air quotes, smurfing in a lower tier like this, like, they were just playing a funny comp. They were just, you know, like, who plays Pharah? They were just doing that because they're underestimating or they're not taking this seriously, but those sneak up on you real fast in Overwatch,
yeah, they do.
Man. You could very rarely afford to have the ego haha funny comps for very long.
Yeah.
Like, that could cost you. And if we start looking, you know, if Raspberry happened to win Lijiang and then we start getting later into the series, you could really start regretting moves like that. So if I'm Fusion Uni, I do exactly what they're doing right now. Just go for a double bubble, very meta composition, very similar to what we're seeing in the Overwatch League. This is them saying, nah, okay, no more of the funny stuff. We're just gonna play with you.
Let's just get this one done. Lethal received the stun, but it's shutting this down first. Gustav chases them down with the break and the whip shot and takes them out. It's going to be Funny Astro down as well, and this is already looking really good now from Raspberry Racers. And Slay getting in on that kill feed action as well, featuring very heavily. If it's not the outright kill, it's at least the assist with the Orb of Discord.
Right, and Slay, I feel like on the Zen, like you don't see a ton of Zen lately, but Slay is just so good on it that I'm not even upset that they're making it work, and they are making it work quite well, actually. You would expect like an Anabaptiste or the Brigana, but just that extra damage is such an interesting wrinkle for Fusion Unity to have to deal with, especially running the double bubble composition. Like it really keeps you honest.
Uh-oh. Yeah,
There
I
he
mean,
goes.
look, guys, you know they've got a wrecking ball. Sure, you've equalized here, but that was always going to happen, wasn't it? Rolling into the left door, trying to find the kill. Doge now down, Jkaru down. Doge is going to be back quicker. Going to see Slay forced to commit the Transcendence here. And I believe Poco just took a bit of a misstep there, tumbled down into the lowest possible level of Lijiang Tower, and Raspberry Racers turn this back around, hold on to the point, and looking exceptionally good right now. Cloud on an absolute tear, and Tools not looking any the worse the wear for having a 2-year break.
Seriously, yeah, Cloud Stonks up big time. Sugar-free Gialli, however you want to call him, Tracer was always one of his best heroes. When he wasn't stuck in Brigitte jail, he was ripping it up on Tracer. So for Cloud to have, frankly, an even showing, if not a superior showing right now on Lijiang, that's a pretty big deal. Like, throw this one in your highlight reel for sure.
That's a big minefield as we hit 70% here. Darty now on the Tracer will tag in, keep the contest alive. Hopefully finds Doge, Jkaru in. Now has the Primal Rage, corrals Raspberry, races over towards the edge and spots the opportunity to send Lethal down into the drink. The same treatment for Slay here. Falls down now as well. And it is like living with a massive furry bumper car, knocking everybody off.
Yeah, Jkaru, he goes down at the end there to Doge, but he took plenty of people with him. Poco even getting in on the action. How do you get a boot kill Zarya? I guess a right click?
Yeah,
Doge was
right
probably
click,
jumping anyways. You know, it gets a little fuzzy like that. Raspberry Racers, they're at 92%. They got plenty of time to kind of figure this out, to take their time. Not many ultimates to work with. Just got to protect Slay. That sleep dart, man. That long range damage could really get you if you're not careful. So good on Gustav there. Nice mindfulness. They have the Transcendence. I don't think you try and use it this fight. Maybe if you get a really good pick with Cloud's Pulse Bomb or something and you have a good opening to extend that fight. Otherwise, like, pull out that Pulse Bomb and that grab, especially from Fusion University, and then see what you can do.
I'm looking at the interactions here, and we've got Graviton Surge and we've got Transcendence. Boombox will need to be on point with this nade to make the Graviton Surge from Poco have any kind of value at all. Cloud now playing around the sides here. Spots an angle, whiffs in the Pulse Bomb, and it's a coach going out of the way as Jkaru in the front line finds the third. That's a huge play. That's the second in a row a team fight won by the heroics here of Jkaru.
Right, and the stagger onto Tools here. That's a rough one. They still got time. They still have another fight, but they use that Pulse Bomb and get nothing. And they're not too close to much else, right? The minefield, maybe, but that's going to be like a last-minute situation at best with the way this percentage is going. Meanwhile, Fusion University, they hold on to the grab. They hold on to the Pulse Bomb. They're close to a Primal and Bob. Tons of great stall and point control ultimates at their disposal here. Raspberry Racers are going to have a real tough time pulling this out without some wild extra pick.
Okay, there's another 10 seconds here, but Charlie is that little bit more vulnerable. No recall available to them. Doge almost has the minefield online, so this is going to be very quickly done. There's the grab. There's the Transcendence. Did see, I think, the nade come through there, allowing the kill onto Doge. High Doom coming from Lethal dies in the middle of it. Shockwave just has the superior long-range damage here. And Slay down Jkaru once more. And it's at 99% here for Fusion University. Raspberry Racers just have Doge alive, and now, not even that. Tag back in from Gustav, but that's pretty much as far as this is going, Double.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely, again, I mean, look at the score, right? That was plenty close, but Fusion University really getting the download. They were, you know, they hit that point really, like at the start of Night Market there, where they were like, we're not going to run any funny stuff. We're going to run the good stuff. We're going to show you how it's done. This is how we do it in the big boy leagues. And Raspberry Racers really couldn't find the answer. Slay was doing great, but it's so easy to catch out a Zen if you force out the cooldowns and force out the peel from the rest of his teammates. And as soon as you separate a composition like that, it really starts to fall apart. Yeah. So Fusion University doing about what we would expect, right? Like having the strategic download, playing with their food a little bit, but then kind of getting right back into it. Like this is how we expect it to go, but Raspberry Racers are still going to make this interesting.
Yeah, I think there's a school of thought that looks at Overwatch League team versus Tier 2/Tier 3 team. Overwatch League team wins every time. And I can't help but be filled with a little bit of a swelling of pride as a long-time Tier 2, Tier 3 grassroots advocate to see a team like Raspberry Racers, who are very solidly a Tier 2, Tier 2.5 team, actually make this Overwatch League ringer team have to work and take them seriously. Like, they tried to bring out something a little wacky, and they just got kind of slapped for it. So Fusion Uni are going to have to take Raspberry Racers seriously in the next few maps. Otherwise, this could not go there. Could go against them, frankly. It could be a 3-0, but I think it's going to be a competitive 3-0 even if it is.
Hey, I'm still looking for the 10-map special. It's you and me, so I got to expect... And it's Fusion University. Yeah. Like, all the cards are stacked for a 5-map game here, really. If you look at the way the T2 universe kind of moves, odds are good. But if Fusion University decide to just shut this down and play all their biggest cards the right way, we'll see. You know, never say never. I'm very interested.
Ooh, okay, looks like we've got the next map locked in, and this is going to be Raspberry Racers' choice here. And we're going to Junkertown for our payload map today.
Yeah, I like this move for sure. There's tons of open ground, tons of like strategic flexibility here. Lots of Widow. I mean, it's been a long time since we've seen Junkertown like consistently played at a high level, like in the Overwatch League or anything like that. On Escort in general has kind of not been a place where they like to bring out Junkertown. Some people feel it's too sniper dominated. Some people feel it's just a weird, wacky map that they'd rather not have to prep for anyways, so we don't see it a ton. But back when we did see it a lot, there were tons of different options for people. You would see double sniper, you would see like Orisa Sigma, back when Orisa Sigma was like the hotness. But looking at like the double bubble and, you know, the Sigma and the Rhine Divas that we've been seeing, like, there's a lot of flexibility here that we could see from both of these teams. Fusion Uni could try and get silly with it again, you know, like run a Pharah or something like that. But I think Raspberry Racers could still hold them honestly on a map like Junkertown, just given the amount of space you have to work with.
And I can't help but wonder, being as I am something of a social media addict, I did happen to see an exchange between Jkaru and Boga, offering to hold down respective regions as Winston specialists, if not Winston one-tricks. There's a little bit of me would not be surprised to just see Jkaru stick on the Winston throughout this. It's probably not the optimal pick on Junkertown of all maps, but I think there is a little bit of stubbornness in Jkaru that may see that come to bear.
And his Winston is great. Like it's not a bad move for Jkaru to go, I want to play Winston. Like, that's fine. Winston is in a very good place, and he's very good on the hero. Historically, we haven't seen a ton of him on the map just because there are so many choke points you really want to lock down with at least one barrier. And when snipers come out to play, like, your dive either needs to be really, really good to apply pressure to snipers, or you need a shield to give your squishies something to hide behind. Because otherwise the snipers are going to rip your head off. And with Sugar Free on the map, you know, you kind of want to be careful.
You got to be careful. Yeah. You got to watch it.
I could see that, though. I could see Jkaru just going, we're going to play Winston. Winston's good right now. I'm good at Winston. Just don't worry about it. If there's a Widow, I'll handle it. But will that be enough of an answer if that's how that decides to go, right? Like a good Widow, doesn't care how much pressure is being put onto her. She'll just go, oh, hey monkey.
Click.
Off she goes.
Yeah.
And then Samito starts slamming his desk and all that stuff happens. It's a whole thing. So.
Okay, well, in we go. It's going to be Fusion Uni starting on the defense here today. Raspberry Racers on the offense. Note the swapping colors and the swapping sides. Still waiting on what we're seeing out of this defensive lineup.
Yep, give it another 3, 2, 1.
Let's jam.
Okay.
We may have actually been given duff information here. Looks like a Raspberry Racers starting on the defense and Fusion Uni starting on the offense.
Yep, but look at those dueling Widows, though. Lethal versus Shockwave is a spicy one. Lethal's hit scan is, well, lethal. And Shockwave, he's kind of made his name on heroes like Widow, like Ashe. He reminds me a lot of hit scan players like Hybrid or Aspire, who really enjoy that long range hit scan, like having those sight lines, just setting up those shots. Like, that's his comfort zone. So a map like Junkertown gives both of these players with really very similar pools and styles. Of course, Shockwave come on, man. I was just talking, and you're going Hanzo. I mean, it's the same sort of concept, strategically, long sight lines, plenty of spam. But Lethal,
nice.
Lethal, that's why you pick Widow on this map.
And like,
wow.
The hardest target to pick in this entire lineup as well, the small, fast-moving Tracer just gets their head taken off at the shoulders. However, Fusion Uni still moving the cart through, so Raspberry Racer is going to give up a little bit of space here, all except Doge, who's happy to be a one-man front line here with a bit of help from Cloud. Not a huge amount of value in terms of run-through and damage and ult charge just yet for Doge, but give it time, he'll get up there. Jolly receives the stun, already receiving a little bit more pressure here, and I think Jolly needs to be careful. I think you cannot have the free range that you might like on the Tracer. Lethal, up on the high ground of the water tower, gets a nice line in, catches Fusion Uni on the way through, but now has to deal with the bubble. Oh. Beautiful combo with the power driver, boombox out of the fight. Fusion Uni have got a good amount of push here, but Raspberry Racers now have exactly what they want for their defensive spetter.
Right, and Fusion Uni going for this like super forward attack, like we're going to take care of the team before worrying about the cart sort of style, but I don't think that's the play. You know, there's too much separation that Raspberry can make, though Doge has to be alive to make that happen. But when you give Lethal like space to wiggle like that, it's never going to go well for you.
I love this bodyguard action here from Gustav. Ultimately not going to be enough. Poco lands a right click and Lethal goes down. It's a 2 for 2. Flame Cloud going toe-to-toe with Jolly and Poco. Jolly is now in the back with a pulse bomb. He rewinds right into the rock. And not going to get a chance to use that, but I feel like the damage may have been done here. Tools gets chased down by J-Karu, and that payload very close to coming back in. Doge might get a chance to touch here, but I think... Okay, no, it's going to be Cloud that comes through the touch. Doge lands the minefield, and Lethal now down at the hands of J-Karu. Dragon in from Shockwave now. Finds Cloud. And that's got to be clean up now from Fusion University. Raspberry Racers just burning what time they can off the clock.
Right, and this comes back to our discussion on the tank line for Fusion University, right? Like, yeah, Lethal was getting work done as Widow there. No, there's no two ways about it. But J-Karu was able to apply so much pressure and then so much support downrange from Boombox and Shockwave and Poco and Giali running right in there with him. Like, that's the exact kind of strategy they want to run. And yeah, you don't see much Winston on this map historically, but J-Karu makes it work. And now Fusion Uni, look at the ults for them. Like a Transcendence can do a lot here, but they have so many tools to layer.
Well, J-Karu goes in with the nano, gets very heavily chunked down, and is forced to commit the Primal Rage. And continues to take a staggering amount of damage there. That was 1,000 HP down to about 170. And we find we've already had 3 ults committed here by Fusion University. Graviton Surge comes out, locks tools in place, everybody piles in over the top. A right click for Poco finds Cloud, and Doge is chased back over towards Spawn. J-Karu playing forward here, Giali at his back. Buys some forward space, desperately wants this kill, really wants to deal with Gustav, and Giali will get the chase down here. That was a phenomenally quick point beat level.
Right, and you look at the ults that they used, and you're like, you know, that was kind of expensive. They ended up using 4, but Giali already has another pulse bomb, and that got them the entire Streets phase. Streets phase is over. It's done. That was like the cart never stopped moving that entire time because they layered everything so perfectly. So yeah, expensive, air quotes, but not really because you got so much in return. 4:15 now on the time bank. Giali getting a kill on the Lethal to open things up. This last phase could go just as quickly if they're smart about it.
Well, it's rally for rally now, and Funny Astro swinging the flare like nobody's business. Nobody really wants to get up close and personal with them because they are pretty much impossible to kill right now. Tools receives the DMAC, and it is Stagger City. You probably don't want to keep that going too long because, of course, Tools on the cart will stop them moving it forwards, but it still buys them a heck of a lot of uncontested time on the high ground. Shockwave has the Dragon Strike. Doesn't currently have the Sonic Arrow. That's going to come out next to allow them to see when people are going to come through. Cloud knows that's there, knows they don't want to commit in. Minefield now comes through from Doge finally. Pulls them out as well, but the kills keep coming through from Fusion University. Raspberry Racers just buckle under the pressure, and in comes J-Karu, all fire and fury and swinging fists. Doge is down. We'll see the payload contested, and some serious body block in there from J-Karu and Gialli. They're just having fun with it.
Yeah, emote at the spawn door.
Yeah,
what else are you going to do?
Door. Yeah.
Yep, that's right. Shockwave hit so many shots in those last couple fights. I feel like he was consistently lighting up half of that kill feed on his own, and J-Karu happy to handle the other half, That was about as clean as you're going to get, I think, on an attack from Junkertown in those last couple phases. There were some hiccups. Raspberry Racers, I think, had a good plan to start. They just couldn't handle all the consistent pressure from J-Karu. A well-coordinated dive on Junkertown, that open space gives you a lot of room as a sniper, but the reverse is also true. It gives a lot of room to anyone trying to apply pressure to you. So, Fusion Uni know that perfectly well. Raspberry Racers maybe just found out. And now, look at what we've got. We've got J-Karu on the ball here, which makes sense. There's a lot more angles you can get through on a ball versus as a Winston. Raspberry Racers, don't play with my heart like this. I wondered
where we were going to get commented on that. This, the old Junkertown special.
Yeah. Protect the President 2.0, the Orisa Sigma. Nah, they're not going to keep it. Why are we even bothering? They're just going to play the normal stuff. I would love to see a Bastion. I think it could get work done. I think it would melt. Okay. But it's not going to happen. Lethal on the Widow, though, just as melty. I think this is a pretty spicy pick, and I think he can get a lot of work done.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
No, we got juked.
Okay.
We got double juked. We're all in. All in
on the pirate ship. This is good. There's so much potential here, right? Yes, this composition is very static, and it's not necessarily a solved quantity, but definitely something people could expect. But at the same time, there's not a ton you can do against it. They have this envelope of barriers to protect the Bastion. He's dealing so much damage. How does J-Karu even push in on this? You just try and spam down the shields, but we'll see.
Lethal is taking damage, and now the Immortality Field is down. Slayed down as well, and despite all the shielding that's available, there are still little cracks in the sides of this battleship. Lethal and Tools able to find a couple between them, though. Might be enough to at least switch the momentum back into their favor. I think we're going to see Lethal reposition and take a more static position. Have one player ride the cart, but Jolly just absolutely rips the entire thing apart here, and now Raspberry Racers are going to have to give up ults. They're going to have to swap off because you cannot get that Bastion back on the cart, surely.
Yeah, they're swapping.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, Shockwave on that off angle was just the end of it, and
goodbye, New Dragons.
I think
enjoy space.
I think that was a message. That's what I'm going to say. That was we don't even need that ultimate. I don't need my ultimate to kill you. And which is true. Shockwave ripped that composition apart. So much poke and not enough heals is why Jelly was able to come in there and get that 3K to clean it up. And he's still hitting these shots. Look at this man go. He does not need that ultimate. He is absolutely sending that kind of message.
Lethal was just in a place where... Shockwave was just in a place where Lethal was not expecting in the slightest. And the second Lethal appeared, poked the head above the parapet, Shockwave took it off with force with the arrows.
Just a nasty showing here from Shockwave on this map. He is warmed up. I'm sure he was warmed up before, but now he's hot. This guy is moving. He's hitting the shots. Fusion Uni applying tons of pressure. The single ult here will still be something. It still catches out Tools, but the Immortality field, this is pretty even.
Well, Astro's going to go down here, so momentary man advantage for Raspberry Racers. Jolly got the pulse bomb. And Shockwave's going to go down here. Judd looking to equal things up, finds Doge and finds the Supercharger, but Boombox is in trouble now. Toe-to-toe with Cloud. Cloud's going to be the one that comes out on top, and Cloud looking to recreate the success that Jolly had earlier on the Tracer, picking apart the enemy team composition, closing in on another pulse bomb, and the payload starting to close the gap.
Right, finally Raspberry Racers find an opening here. A last-minute contest, though, but... never mind. Never mind. That's not going to be much of a contest at all. The Nano onto the Wrecking Ball is something. But this card, I think we all know where this is going.
Yeah, there's a lot of focus given away for J-Karu. It's a big old hitbox on the Wrecking Ball, and Tools is able to just pile out so much consistent damage that there's really not a lot that Fusion University could do, and that's going to prompt J-Karu to move back over onto the Pet Monkey.
He's a scientist, excuse me. A great discipline, I would say, from Raspberry Racers, because a lesser team or a more scared team might be like, oh, they're recontesting. We can't let that happen. We need to flux them off the point or something. And Raspberry Racers said, it's okay. We got those 2 opening picks. We're going to be fine. We don't need to use those, and now they're coming into Streets with a lot. Lethal on the respawn, though, is going to slow them down maybe just a bit, and also slow down the acquisition of our dear friend Bob. And Shockwave actually throwing a dragon that he cares about, though it still doesn't get much time.
A good effort there from Shockwave to try and interrupt the Gravitic Flux, but ultimately puts themselves in the line of fire of Lethal. And Lethal lives up to their namesake and takes them out of the fight. Slayer's able to find Giali here as well, and it's Cloud on the wraparound of the high ground, looking to deny space up there. Buy a little more space for Lethal to get in the fight. There's going to be the tank to the high ground there, J-Karu and Poco. Rob the high ground away, but they're still not successfully winning this one out. And Lethal just makes a complete rotation under the archway, back up on top, throws in the bob, and may have just done enough to secure them the cap here.
A bit of a misclick on the Sonic there, Shockwave. Obviously a little caught out. There goes the second point. Expensive and back and forth for Raspberry Racers, but they're still in a pretty good position. The Pulse Bomb and the Supercharger coming up pretty soon, and that Supercharger, rising waves bring up all ships. So that will help the rest of that entire team to build up their ultimates and kind of reestablish some ult economy here in the last phase. But look at the time banks. They're even now, and now they're not. So even with that strong street space from Raspberry Racers, that time bank is still working against them, and they have a long way to go. Fusion Uni with the Nano coming in exactly is what they need to hope and try and equalize this.
And of course, that's going to help J-Karu cycle the Primal Rage online. In fact, look at the rate at which that is ticking up. Has to pop in the Primal Rage, and Giali is down to their own Pulse Bomb. Gustav smashed back into them and take them out with the Pulse Bomb. But enough damage has now been done by Fusion University, and this is honestly a very difficult place to come back from as Raspberry Race. It's so hard to aggress onto the card in this position.
Right, and I'm interested, I'm curious as to Doge staying on the Orisa. It doesn't look like he's swapping after the Supercharger. I think they want to try and make that work, establish that point presence, and try and counter out J-Karu's dives. With a Fortify and a Halt, J-Karu does a lot less damage to Orisa at least, but can you protect the rest of the team with this composition?
Beautifully flamed amplification matrix there, nice little effect on the wall as it comes up. And Cloud, Tools, and Lethal start to pick this apart here. Cloud lands the melee, needs one more, and it's going to be Doge that gets credit for that one, but on the back of the amplification matrix and the space that created, Raspberry Racers get the payload moving.
And that's a great little combo, because oftentimes the trade-off with an amp matrix is that, yeah, you pop this big window of damage amplification, but you're pretty open yourself if you try and use it. But if you put an Orisa shield in front of it, that suddenly becomes a lot less risky, and you can get a lot more value out of the ultimate. And there was really nowhere for Fusion University to back out. Now Lethal with the opening pick here. The Dragon not getting much value at all.
No, I think there was a bit of a blind combo there with Poco's Graviton Surge, and ultimately just wide of the mark. And it is Raid boss time. Yes, that's right, it's the nano-boosted Brigitte. Funny Astro, more or less unkillable right now. Not the sort of play you'd like to meet in a dark alley late at night. Bob's here to contest the point, buy space, and just generally make life a little bit harder here for Fusion University. But Raspberry Racers. Raspberry Racers now down at the 1 minute mark on their cap attempt. And J-Karu with another Primal Rage. Joking them out, gets them out of the line of sight of the Immortality Field. Immortality Field now down, and J-Karu comes in, Super Stomp, takes Lethal out of the fight. Raspberry Racers now staring down the barrel of last fight territory.
Does Doge stay on this Orisa here? He's got the Supercharger, but there's not much time left. Those 4 legs don't make you any faster. I think he thinks it's worth it. I can't say I disagree with him. Cloud could get a lot done with the Pulse Bomb, and they could use that Ant Matrix again. A great combo, but look at J-Karu there on the right. He's hanging out. He's happy to kind of sneak in, but they spot him. There's
the stick, and it's only Giali that goes down on that one. It was a boing flip onto Giali, and he's down. Lethal on down as well, but still damage may more or less have been done here onto Raspberry Racers, because they are being held pretty close to their spawners. But there's a back cap coming through. Cloud's down, but that could have been so close. And now we're into overtime. Amplification matrix is up. So easy kills, easy heals for Slay, and Shockwave deep into the bowels of the D.Va more sends the new dragons in. Shockwave's going to go down here as well, but this is already a big time bank difference for Fusion University. Self-destruct comes through. Jay Karu out of the fight on the back of it, and a remake kill goes for Sophia's character on the field. Jarly down onto that one. Poco locks them in place with the Graviton Surge, finds the chin music to bring Cloud back out of the fight. Bunny Astro close the distance, protecting the fellow support, just what you want to see. Secures the D-Mech, finds the stun, finds the whip shot, and I think this is going to be it. Gustav is down. Yes, we got Doge on the point of the Wrecking Ball, but it is just the Wrecking Ball, and it's not going to be enough there. Fusion Uni now at 2-0 in the series.
And you might have thought there towards the end, right? Like, Raspberry Racers had such a great engage onto that last fight, opening with the Matrix, catching out the Zarya, Chiali hitting himself with his own pulse bomb again.
Couple of times.
Yeah, what are you going to do? I think he actually stuck the D.Va, and then the D.Va flew straight at him, that's smart. Fine. I respect that. But while it was so back and forth, it was that spawn advantage kicking in right there, really. Just there was too many recontests coming through. It was not a clean enough fight to execute, especially considering Fusion Uni had their support ultimates. They had that rally, that raid boss effect kind of kicking in there towards the end. You know, you might have looked at that fight and been like, how did Raspberry Racers lose that? But at the end of the day, it was the discipline from Fusion Uni and just like layering things out, having that staggered response, just getting those key picks to whittle that team down with such a long run back. Now we're at 2-0 in what could have been frankly and was a very close match.
It's difficult to talk about the reasons why you might think Fusion Uni are doing better without kind of belittling Raspberry Racers, because when you look at Fusion University, you're going, well, yeah, Poco, Boombox, Funny Astro, Coach Cruz, and you say, oh, they just got all this experience. They just used to playing at the very highest level, but the same is true for players on Raspberry Racers. It's just the volume of it and the level of it, and ultimately that may be a little much to overcome. Potentially one more map in the series. We are at match point. We're going to throw to a quick break and come back with the rest of the action. Welcome back, everybody. Big Hungry Phil and Thibbledork still with you, bringing you the rest of the EMEA Contenders Trials Action. Fusion Uni currently at a 2-0 scoreline, one map away from bagging a 3-0 victory here in Contenders Trials on the second day of play.
Right, and I did my best to hype this up because I really do think it's more than just haha Fusion Uni stomp, but
yeah,
man, they have been clutching it out where it counts. Like those last couple fights on Junkertown, extremely close. The entire first map was very back and forth. But Fusion Uni just having the skills to clutch it out, those extra, little edges of experience. It's thousands of hours versus tens of thousands of hours is really what we're looking at here in terms of cumulative experience. And you see those differences in those little moments, in those clutch plays. So Raspberry Racers certainly not out of this. Despite the scoreline, it's been incredibly back and forth the whole way through. And it could still easily go to a map 5, our signature special. But Fusion Uni, if they keep going like this, there's no reason to think that they won't close it out here on map 3.
I actually think you raise a really interesting point there about the difference between thousands of hours and tens of thousands of hours, because I think the real difference is here, players who have been paid to make this their life's work, like let's ambitiously call it a 40-hour work week of Overwatch, right? Versus people that are doing this around school, around jobs, around all the other stuff that you need to survive, right? There is just a step up in how much you can do with how much time you put into practice. And honestly, Raspberry Racers are putting up a phenomenal performance against a team that has so much of that time and resource advantage that Fusion University does.
Yeah, I'm obviously not like a huge OWL insider or anything, but I know a few things here and there. And Fusion consistently has been a team that has really invested properly into the practice time and the growth of their players strategically and just as people. Like they have the resources. They're owned by Comcast, so they got the money, and they invest properly, I would say, in their players. All the teams do, right? All these teams at the Overwatch League level, they have the resources, are required to have the resources to do so. But Fusion have always kind of stood out in that regard, and it really shows in the attitudes and capabilities of their players, even here on their academy too.
Yeah, I think it shows that level of investment that they can afford to say, okay, guys, you're having visa issues, so we are just going to move you to a trials team, an academy team, and let you actually play and get some Overwatch under your belt and keep your hand in the game, effectively. And that's why they're here today on defense on Volskaya, the potential final map if Fusion University can make this work for them.
And a great chance here to really establish the pace. Like we talked about last map on Anubis, starting out with the defense, you could totally full hold here and finish this out real quick. You can set the tempo, you can set your positions where you want to. Raspberry Racers are just going to have to figure it out. We see Doge back on the Wrecking Ball, Tools back on the Diva here, pretty standard from what we've seen from them so far. Let's see if they can crack this shell.
Already, look at the rate at which Slay is accruing ult charge, right? 19%, and he's only just through the choke here, right? That's pretty quick, and the amount of damage that he's doing is a big part of why that's the case. Doge on a weird long rotation here, picking up the health pack. Momentarily puts Raspberry Racers on the bit of the back foot, and Poco is able to find Slay. And that's a big part of your damage and your support required for taking this point out of the fight. But Raspberry Racers are still in this. They think that what they've got on the point already might be enough for them to make it go with this. But as Gustav goes down and the supports go off the board, off the grid entirely, then that's going to be where that ends out. They will find Poco here, but Fusion University ultimately hold here, and hopefully Poco will be back in time to mount the defense. Although bricks are still falling out of the woodwork here. Out of the woodwork, out of the wall. One of those, as Gianni falls to Cloud.
Right, and the trades are great from a spawn advantage perspective, though Tracer, of course, very speedy. But there's an opening here. There's a little window for Raspberry Racers to start touching onto the point, which is exactly what they're doing now. I think this is a good move from them, but Fusion Uni definitely have the wherewithal to establish a good recontest.
Okay, Charlie with the pulse bomb. Currently nobody really in range to make good use of that. A lot of damage just into the backside there of Tools, who did not see Charlie behind them. No ults needed other than this nano boost onto J-Karu, and frankly, Raspberry Racers are gone. Like, there's not a huge amount left to do with the nano boost. Lethal's going to go down right at the end of the fight, and we see 2 minutes off the clock already with Raspberry Racers not having a whole lot to show for it.
I think the big main difference in these compositions is at flex support. So Raspberry Racers want to be able to withstand these huge coordinated high damage Nano Winston dives from Fusion Uni, but they need the Transcendence to do it. And if you don't have the Transcendence before Fusion Uni establish a Nano Boost, you lose. You just lose. The fight is over. Now they have it. Now they could maybe get something done, but at the cost of the Transcendence, right? And now they're using both of those ultimates, and they haven't really established control on the point yet.
Well, both portals committed, and most of the team just walked past J-Karu there.
Right. Yep.
Crouching target, hidden scientist allows him to get into the back and cause a little bit of trouble. Charlie forced to recall, and Doge forced to run away. Not quick enough. Look at them all grouped up there. A waiting target for Giali and J-Karu. And Giali has not needed this pause bomb. Has now had it online for a good minute.
Right. And in that entire explanation I just had, I completely ignored the fact that there's a Graviton Surge on the field. And even if you use the Nano for the Transcendence for the Nano Winston like they did, there's then a Graviton to worry about, which they did not have any answer for. And that's another condition where you just lose the fight. The fight is just over. Chiali now chasing down Cloud. Really no answer for that. Boombox threw a Nano Boost at the end of the last fight, which he didn't even really need, but it doesn't seem to matter. Like, Fusion Uni is still just working in the neutral
here.
And Shockwave swapped over to the Doomfist. And this is 25 seconds. Wow.
Yeah, 25 seconds, and Poco here to lick the spawn doors, and some serious body blocking coming out from Fusion University here. A quick pose by the spawn doors. 10 seconds on the clock. Raspberry Racers have now got a toe on it, and a nice minefield will stop the recontest coming through. J-Karu drops the bubble, fires a bit of space, and that is it. Who's here? Nobody can touch. Cloud was just a little bit too late, and that was Fusion University kind of styling on Raspberry Racers there.
Yeah, and frankly, even if there was a recontest there, a quick tracer on the point or something, I don't necessarily know how much they would have gotten out of that. They didn't have a ton to work with. They had that self-destruct, obviously, that you saw. But in general, Fusion Uni were very well established. I mean, it's a full hold, right? Like, what can you say about that? Fusion Uni played lights out there. It was phenomenal. Slay. So Raspberry Racers, again, I want to talk about that Zenyatta pick over the Ana. The Transcendence is a great counter to many high damage things, like a Graviton, like a Nano Winston. Maybe not all of those put together. And certainly not one but not the others, right? You can get one or the other, but if Fusion Uni are smart, as they were, they're never going to throw everything at that ultimate at the same time. Now they need one tick on the point. I imagine they'll actually roll out with what they're seeing here because they want to play with their food a little bit. But man, I understand what Raspberry Racers were going for, and strategically they have been very sound and not, out of line in making the picks they've made, but I don't think the Zenyatta was the play. And now we'll just have to see if they can hold. A draw would be interesting, but man, that's a tall order.
I was looking at what Fusion University had in spawn, and the attentive viewers may have heard me go into the microphone because I thought they were actually going to come out on that. But they are running something a lot more sensitive than the Genji Roadhog. J-Karu's taken a lot of damage already, and it's going to be Lethal and Tools that are the main recipients of that ult charge. Lethal's going to find J-Karu here, and that is a honestly phenomenal start here for Raspberry Racers. Taking the Winston offline, taking the main initiation tool off the table, means that you buy yourself another solid 10-20 seconds of time where the enemy is not ready to deal with you.
Right, and that's exactly what they need to be doing every single fight. They do not have any room for error with 3 minutes and 1 tick on the board. Pressure already being applied. Slay just doing his best to not be a burden. You really just have to stay alive and do what you can from range, because you know Fusion Uni would love nothing more than to just rip him apart.
Oh, well, Cloud's in the back line. Can't quite find the damage on the boombox that he maybe wanted. Gustav's going to pop the Valkyrie here, and Lethal finds an early kill onto Boombox, but traded out almost immediately as Lethal goes down here. Gustav might get the res off. Actually gets in, gets out again alive. And Lethal's back, takes J Current out of the fight, and immediately back dead again. Rocco's got a nice angle here, but there is a boosted Zenyatta, keeping him heavily in check. Now Funny Astro has the rally, Oko has the grab, committed the grab, locked them up, Gustav's down, Cloud is down, and this is going to be it now for Raspberry Racers. Fusion University looking to graduate summa cum laude from this particular one.
I mean, it looks like they're taking their time. I think they could have had that tick already, but they're just padding their stats, I suppose.
Okay, I see.
There we go. Okay, there.
Oh.
Nope. Come on.
Come on, J. Carey.
Come on, guys.
No,
there we go. Come on.
They want to just get more kills. They want stats. Maybe they're going for touching the other spawn door. Possibly. No, there we go. They're just playing with us. They're playing with us. They're playing with Raspberry Racers. And it's over. Fusion Uni looking more than comfortable on Volskaya.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I cast or cursed it from the start, saying, it's Fusion Uni, it's you and me, it's totally going to go to 5 maps, there's no way. I jinxed that hard. Fusion Uni showed up today. Maybe yesterday, that 3-1, maybe they decided, wait, why are we dropping maps? No way you shouldn't be doing that. Come on, guys. Like, we can do better
hang on
than
a
that.
second. The monitor wasn't on. We've turned the monitor on, and now we can play again.
That's what it was. Guys, sorry, I forgot to plug in my mouse.
Yeah.
I've been playing with, like the eye setup.
The eye tracking,
Yeah, stuff like that. And they forgot to plug in their mouse. It's such a shame, but it looks like they remembered to plug in all their peripherals today, and they played really, really well. So consistent, so explosive. And Raspberry Racers put up a great fight, I would say, all the way through. But, man, that was a rough one. GG's.
Well, Fusion University making the entire group the group of death. And to talk us through some of that, we're going to be having an interview with Boombox, which we'll be back with in just a couple minutes. Welcome back, everybody, and joining us after that barnstorming run through Vorskaya Industries is Boombox. Boombox, welcome to the stream. Congratulations. How are you feeling on the back of that win?
I'm feeling good.
Okay, good. Nice and simple. Like it.
Yeah.
So looking at that match, right, and looking at the team in general, the dynamic that you guys obviously have, what's the balance between like, yeah, we're totally going to prep for this team and we're going to like scout it out and everything versus like we're just going to kind of play what we want or what we've been practicing already?
Yeah, we basically just play our game. Most of the meta has already been like figured out, so you can't really experiment much. I guess they played Bastion, which isn't usual, but it's just been the same meta for a few months now, so we just play it.
Got it. Okay.
So I'm interested to talk about kind of the circumstances you find yourself in, because this is not where we expected to see you and a lot of your teammates at the start of this season, right? How are you enjoying? Are you enjoying being back in Tier 2? What's it like compared to before you joined the Overwatch League?
It's a lot more chill. You can just, I don't know, just relax a lot more than being in the Overwatch League and being in a foreign country. And a lot of the players on my team have visa issues, so everyone just wants to play some games, and that's why we're playing in Contenders.
Right. Okay. And how important do you feel like, obviously this entire team was basically conjured up to make sure that everyone had a chance to stay sharp, not get rusty, still play the game while these visa issues are being sorted out. How important is that, for an Overwatch player to like keep the rust off and everything? Like how pervasive is that sort of issue?
And if you don't play in officials for a long time, you could build up some rust, but it's mostly if you just play ranked, you don't really get like good practice. Like EU ranked is very poor, so playing in Contenders is just better practice, or scrims in general.
Makes a lot of sense.
And I think there's an interesting counterpoint here that maybe you're not the best person to shed some light on this, but you obviously have Jolly or Sugar-Free on the roster, who has not been playing Overwatch for some time. How has that been, playing with someone who is back, maybe not against their will, but back like as a short-term thing?
I mean, I think he's just chilling, like touching spawn doors, like bringing the Atlanta Academy history to this team.
Yep, that old selfless energy, it never really goes away. The last night's leftovers magic. I don't have too much else. So Phil, I'm going to steal your last question from you. As we keep heading towards the end of trials, and you guys obviously pushing towards Contenders and anything, is there anyone you want to shout out or send some love to as you continue along your run?
Actually, my coach Christopher paid me £50 to say that he's doing an amazing job and he is the best coach. So yeah, that's all.
Well, awesome. I hope that £50 processes within 3 to 5 business days so you can get yourself something nice.
Me too.
That's funny. God, I love that. Yeah. Excellent.
Cool. Boombox, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck on the rest of your run through trials. Looking forward to see just how many more spawn doors Fusion University can get their hands on.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, everybody else watching, that is unfortunately the end of the EMEA broadcast today. There is, of course, the NA broadcast coming up in just a few hours when the sun's a little bit further over the yardarm. And I wanted to take an opportunity today to thank you all very much for joining us and watching us, more so than normal, because I've just been informed that we have in fact hit 2,000 subscribers here on the Monkey People channel, and it's thanks to all you beautiful people out there that make a point of coming and supporting Tier 2. We wouldn't be able to bring you broadcasts if you weren't here to watch it, I think is the point I'm trying to make.
I think that's how that works. Yeah, that sounds about right. If you're not subscribed, by the way, subscribe like right now.
Yeah, hit that button, hit the bell, notifications, likes, all that good YouTube stuff.
We're not good at that, but do those things that we're supposed to tell you to do. Hit the bell.
Well, thank you again, everybody, for joining us today. Again, don't forget to tune into the NA broadcast in a couple of hours. And, of course, there is more EMEA and NA coming up tomorrow and Friday, and then again next week. So plenty of Overwatch Contenders trials coming your way. Good night, everybody.